Chapter 241, A Wild Big Black Fish? Philip took a deep breath. Put down your guns, Grandmaster Lin, they're just reacting instinctively. I was also in a hurry just now. Several guns were pointed at Lin Tian, but Lin Tian was not at all panicked. Philip knew that as long as they fired, they would definitely be the ones to die later, not Lin Tian. Yes. Several soldiers put away their guns. They were angry, but they were not stupid, and they didn't want to die here like their teammates. Lin Tian smiled faintly and said, I said, lend me an internet connection so I can broadcast live. I'll forget about what just happened when you pointed your guns at me. I have a good temper, but if you are referring to Lin Tian, you will each have to pay $100 million in compensation. Philip was furious inside. I don't see how you have a good temper. Did the four of you just blow away in the wind? Grandmaster Lin, although our submarine has internet access, we don't know how to share it with you. Philip said with suppressed anger. Lin Tian smiled and said, it's okay, if you don't know how to do it, I'll go inside and help you. I know a little bit about the internet. If your hatch is broken and won't open, I'll help you force it open. If there are any difficulties, we'll figure it out together. Philip. The other person said everything. Grandmaster Lin, can't we come up with another solution? Lin Tian smiled, not really. Then let's do it Lin Tian's way. You point your guns at me, and each of you will pay $100 million in compensation, which is $600 million in total. Until the money arrives, the submarine will remain here. Philip picked up the walkie-talkie, opened the hatch, turned on the internet, and set the internet to entertainment mode. The soldiers on their submarine also need to relax and entertain themselves sometimes, and they need to contact their families. The submarine's network can connect to the satellite in entertainment mode, and it can contact the outside world, so there is no problem watching the news. Okay, Captain. The submarine hatch quickly opened. With the network outside, no one else on the submarine needs to use it, so Lin Tian is the only one who uses it. The speed of the network is quite good, and there is no problem with live streaming at all. Grandmaster Lin, we won't accompany you anymore. Philip returned to the submarine with a few soldiers. He didn't want to be broadcast live, as he would definitely become a laughingstock of the world. Would he still be able to get anywhere in the future? Lin Tian took out his phone and turned on the live broadcast. It is worth mentioning that the phone he is currently broadcasting live on is not the one he normally uses, otherwise he will not be able to receive calls on his phone every time he broadcasts live. That would be too obvious. Grandmaster Lin, you haven't broadcast live for a long time. Grandmaster Lin, where are you? As soon as the broadcast started, more than 100,000 people flooded into the live broadcast room. He now has 80 million followers, and many of them are die-hard fans who watch his short videos many times a day. Many people rushed in as soon as they saw him go live. While other streamers would stream 24 hours a day just to make money, Lin Zhongsure is good, streaming once a week, which is considered quite diligent of him. It's been more than 10 days since the last live stream. Family, I'm sea fishing in the East China Sea, and I actually ran into a wild submarine. Lin Tian said with a smile. Inside the submarine, Philip was frowning. No one else was using the internet, but he was, and he had secretly entered Lin Tian's live broadcast room. Captain, Grandmaster Lin said that our submarine is wild, and he wants to take it back, right? Philip's adjutant whispered. Philip said with a frown, he doesn't want to take it back, he wants us to go out and make a fool of ourselves. Inside the live broadcast room. Grandmaster Lin, please take a look around. Master Lin, it seems to be an American Los Angeles-class submarine. The hatch is open, and there may be someone inside. Can Master Lin go inside and have a look? Many people in the broadcast room excitedly said. Lin Tian laughed, someone inside should come out. We Chinese people are polite, and we don't go in without an invitation. Is this an American submarine? It's less than 100 kilometers from our Chinese coast, I thought it was ours. This submarine seems to have encountered some minor trouble. There is blood and some human tissue in the surrounding sea. If no one comes out, we'll broadcast the rescue later. Maybe they encountered aliens or sea monsters. Someone in the broadcast room made a large reward. Master Lin, you have to knock to make sure someone is there. Lin Tian laughed and said, you're right. He said this and slapped his palm out. Roar! There were already hundreds of thousands of people in the broadcast room, and they saw a translucent five-clawed golden dragon. The five-clawed golden dragon circled once and then slammed hard into the top of the submarine. Boom! A loud noise rang out, and the top of the submarine was directly dented by Lin Tian's attack. Large pieces of sound-absorbing tiles were smashed into the air. Family, I seem to have used a little too much strength. I didn't realize that this submarine is so unyielding, Lin Tian said. Inside the submarine, Philip's face turned pale. Some of the things inside them have been damaged by the shock. Let's get out, Philip said to his adjutant. If we don't get out, Grandmaster Lin will probably come in and broadcast a rescue. If that happens, everything inside the submarine will be exposed. Soon, Philip and the others climbed out. You are Lin Tianzong of China, right? I am the captain of this submarine. Our boat encountered an accident, Philip said. Lin Tian apologetically said, I found that there were dead people in your submarine, and the hatch was open. I just knocked on it to see if there was anyone or a sea monster inside. I didn't expect the force of the knock to be a little too strong. Our Huagua shipbuilding technology is pretty good. How about this? I will contact our military and they will definitely help you fix it. Philip. There were over 1 million netizens in the live broadcast room. After hearing what Lin Tian said, many people burst out laughing. Contacting the Huagua military to fix it, the Huagua military will definitely help them fix it for free. Grandmaster Lin, it's a minor problem, no need. Philip gritted his teeth and said. Lin Tian sighed, you Americans are still rich and arrogant. Since you said it's not necessary, I won't care. What kind of trouble have you encountered? I specialize in repairing nuclear submarines, recycling used aircraft carriers, and repairing satellites. Maybe I can help. The people in the broadcast room understood that Lin Tian was specifically teasing the other party, and it was likely that the submarine accident was caused by Lin Tian. Philip said in a deep voice, Master Lin, we have a small problem with the submarine, but we can solve it. Lin Tian, you have lost people. According to my judgment, you should have lost a total of 16 people? Are you sure you don't need help? Philip. He cursed in his heart, can't you just keep quiet for a bit? Yes, our propeller was entangled in a fishing net, and in the process of solving it, we were attacked by a terrible swarm of sharks. In total, 16 soldiers died heroically, Philip said in a low voice. 16 people died? There are now intelligence officers from multiple countries in the broadcast room, and they are more sensitive to the number 16. 16 people from the Huagua Tianhe Security Company jumped to their deaths. The incident has been making waves on the internet. Chapter 242, I'll help you. You also lost 16 people? Recently, there was a case of people jumping off a building in our country, and 16 people died. Since it happened to be the same, I have to help you, Lin Tian said with emotion. Philip had heard about the case of Tianhe Security Company, and his face darkened considerably when he heard Lin Tian say that. If there was some uncertainty before, now he was 100% sure that Lin Tian had come to take revenge. Grandmaster Lin, are you going to help us solve the entangled propeller? Philip said, his Chinese was quite fluent. Becoming the captain and being sent to China had a lot to do with his good Chinese, but he now regretted coming to this side of China. The United States often caused trouble here, and he had originally wanted to come here to make a name for himself, but now he had gotten into trouble. 16 crew members had died, and even if he didn't face a military court, he wouldn't have a good time when the time came. Captain Philip, you've misunderstood. How could I do that? Helping you with such a trivial matter would be an insult to the heroic U.S. Navy. Lin Tian shook his head. Family, I will show you a magic trick. There were already more than 2 million people in the live broadcast room, and they all widened their eyes when they heard Lin Tian say this. Everyone look at my hand. Lin Tian smiled, holding a mobile phone in his right hand, with the camera pointed at his empty left hand. The area around him was empty, with nothing in sight. Suddenly, a swana appeared in Lin Tian's hand. The swana appeared very suddenly, without any signs. I'm going, how did this come out? Sure, who was hammered? Grandmaster Lin is a cultivator boss. Grandmaster Lin, thank you, you obviously know magic, but you worked hard to trick us into thinking it was magic. Countless pop-ups appeared in the live broadcast room. Captain Philip, in our country, when someone dies, you have to invite a master or Taoist priest to help them cross over, and you have to play sad music for them to send them off. I'll help you today, Lin Tian said, putting his phone down, and took out his swana, playing it for Philip and the others. The first song was directly a grand funeral procession. The mournful music sounded like weeping and lamenting, and Philip and the others were overcome with grief as they listened to the music. Why is Grandmaster Lin helping them send off their people? Are those upstairs stupid? I don't think Grandmaster Lin is sending off those people, he's sending off the Americans. Lin Zongshire is awesome for playing on top of the American submarine. Can anyone tell me why the Americans agreed? A wild guess would be that they were convinced by virtue of Germany's strength. There was great joy in the broadcast room. After all, it's not easy to see such a scene. 1 song, 2 songs, 3 songs. After 9 songs of sad music, Philip and the others were in tears. Lin Tian's sad music is quite powerful. Those in the broadcast room didn't have a problem with it, but Philip and the others were right next to them and were very affected. After listening to the 9 tunes, they are not expected to be able to board the ship again without months of psychological treatment after they return. Not only Philip and the others on the ship, but also the rest of the crew in the submarine. The sound of the Swana is very loud. Family members, look in the distance. Our 2 warships from the Huagua have arrived, and our live broadcast should come to an end this time. Lin Tian said with a smile. The Swana in his hands disappeared instantly. Grandmaster Lin, it's only been an hour or so, just broadcast a little longer. Grandmaster Lin, yours is too short. Grandmaster Lin, you continue, I'm a mature woman, I can still handle it. Lin Tian. It seems that something unclean has infiltrated the broadcast room. Everyone, if I continue broadcasting, I might get involved in confidential matters. How about this, if I'm in a bad mood one day, I'll go to the US aircraft carrier and broadcast live for you. Lin Tian said with a smile. Many people on the internet have smeared you, Grandmaster Lin, so you should be in a bad mood right now, and you can go now. Grandmaster Lin, if you go now, I'll wait forever. Many comments appeared in the live broadcast room. Lin Tian laughed and said, I wasn't in a very good mood today, but after going out to sea to clear my mind, my mood has improved. That's it for today's live broadcast. After saying this, Lin Tian turned off the live broadcast. Philip and the others recovered a little from their sadness when they saw 2 warships approaching. Fuck! Philip cursed in his heart. They had been in an accident and floated up, and now they were being approached by a Chinese warship for a closer inspection. They were so humiliated. Captain Philip, I helped you guys, can you Americans do me a little favor in return? Lin Tian asked. Philip took a deep breath, what kind of favor? Lin Tian smiled slightly, Tianhe Security also lost 16 people. You Americans can influence many media, they won't report this blindly, right? Philip frowned, I don't think so. Grandmaster Lin, this has nothing to do with the United States. Lin Tian nodded with a smile. I understand. You lost 16 people, and their deaths have nothing to do with me. They died heroically. Philip nodded with a gloomy face. Reporting it upwards and saying that they died heroically while on duty will be better for them and for him. Captain Philip, our warships are coming over, so I'll go first. You can ask them for help if you need anything. They're professionals. Lin Tian smiled. He spoke and quickly left on the waves. Before leaving, he waved at the 2 warships. The sea is as flat as a field. If only our soldiers were as strong as this. A man on one of the warships said gratefully. Captain, don't even think about such a beautiful thing, it's good enough that we have a Grandmaster Lin in our country. A man next to him said with a smile. The captain nodded, that's true, even if Grandmaster Lin hasn't become a Grandmaster yet, he is probably close. A martial arts Grandmaster is probably the same as a terrestrial immortal. The 2 warships continued to advance, and before long, they could clearly see Philip and the others standing on the ship. Philip had a dark face. He wanted to hide. But if they hid, he was sure that someone from China would definitely come on board and pry away their sound-absorbing tiles. Their submarine had recently undergone major repairs, and the sound-absorbing tiles had been replaced with the latest ones. Captain Philip, what's wrong with you guys? Is there anything we can do to help? The captain of one of the 2 Chinese warships asked loudly over the loudspeaker. Humph. Philip snorted, his face darkening as he said, tell them to leave. It won't be long before our American warships arrive. Yes, Captain. They shouted back soon after. But the 2 Chinese warships would not obey and leave. Many sound-absorbing tiles were smashed by Lin Tian, and some of them fell into the sea. They had to retrieve them. Boom! A drone took off from the Chinese warship. The drone took pictures to attract their attention. On the side that Philip and the others could not see, Chinese divers entered the water. They were not afraid of sharks. The sharks here might be related to Grandmaster Lin. Ha! Just a few meters after diving, the diver saw a shark with 2 silencer tiles in its mouth. The shark swam towards the diver. It didn't have any intention of attacking the diver. The diver reached out and grabbed the silencer tiles, and the shark, which had completed its delivery, immediately turned around and disappeared. Chapter 243 Miss Luo, gas check. Splash! The diver quickly surfaced. Xiaofeng, did you run into a shark? Someone asked from the side of the ship. Xiaofeng had surfaced too quickly. In that short amount of time, it was impossible for him to find the silencer and dive to the bottom of the sea. It was likely that the shark scared Xiaofeng back. It was a bit weird. A shark brought me 2 silencers in its mouth, Xiaofeng said, and he forcefully raised the silencer out of the water. Hurry! Xiaofeng and the 2 silencers were quickly brought up, and Captain Tan Jian quickly came over after getting the news. Xiaofeng, what exactly happened? Tan Jian asked. Xiaofeng saluted and said, Captain, I just dived a few meters and saw a big shark swimming towards me. It was biting the 2 silencers in its mouth, so I took them off as I saw that it had no intention of attacking. It didn't attack me and swam away. Tan Jian thought of Grandmaster Lin. It seems that Grandmaster Lin can really control sharks. What you just saw and heard is all rotten in your stomach, we just came to watch the fun. Tan Jian said sternly. Soon, Tan Jian communicated with the other warship, and both warships came over and left within 5 minutes. Philip on the submarine was very puzzled. When the Chinese warship came over, did they just come to watch them make fools of themselves and have the drone take pictures so they could be on the news? Why do you think the Chinese warships left so quickly? Philip asked. His second officer pondered, Captain, I think there are 2 possibilities. First, they just came over to make us feel bad, but didn't want to stay long, so that we would misunderstand their intention of looking for the sound-absorbing tiles. Second, they received orders to evacuate. Master Lin just broadcasted live, and the higher-ups must have known about it, and possibly promised the Chinese some benefits. Philip nodded slightly. His common sense told him that it was impossible to dive down from the sea in such a short time to obtain the sound-absorbing tiles. Who knew that the sharks would actually help with the delivery? Lin Tian arrived on the starship. Go back. Lin Tian said indifferently. Captain Su Zhe respectfully said, Yes, boss. They had just watched the live broadcast. Lin Tian had ridden the waves to the American submarine about 8 or 9 nautical miles away and had given a live webcast from there. To Su Zhe and the others, it was astonishing. The performance in the Vienna Musikverein was impressive, but it was nothing compared to playing on top of an American submarine. It would be difficult to find out who caused the deaths of the 10 people from Tianhe Security, but this time the trouble was over. In the future, whoever was behind this would think twice before causing trouble again. Lin Tian thought to himself. The other party used the deaths of the people from Tianhe Security to smear him and throw mud at him. It was foolish to go to such lengths to prove that he was fine. Even if he proves that the other party is likely to act a second time, then it will take a lot of time to prove it again? Doing so will drive him crazy. His choice was simple and rude. No matter who was targeting him, he would directly target the United States. If the other party was backed by the United States, he would not have chosen the wrong person. If it wasn't the United States behind it, the intelligence organization of the United States would help him find the other party. As for the United States being wronged, are you kidding me? Many places in the United States are targeting the Chinese country, and it is reasonable for him to target the United States. Prepare a cup of tea and some fruit snacks, Lin Tian ordered. He lay down on a recliner and started brushing up on the news. He soon discovered that the news using Tianhe's companies jumped to smear him disappeared without a trace. Not only domestically, but internationally as well. He made it very clear during the live broadcast. If he was provoked, he would go live broadcast on an American aircraft carrier. The United States definitely does not want this to happen. If the rest of the world gets the United States involved in something like this, then it won't just be the media involved that will suffer. Once the heat dies down, this matter will be over. Lin Tian muttered to himself. The people who died at Tianhe Security Company were not good people, and he didn't bother to find their killers. Inside the villa, Luo Bingning let out a sigh of relief. She watched the live broadcast and just checked the news, and there were no more smearing news of various kinds in the country. There were still related reports, but they were all very objective. The most popular news on the internet was this live broadcast, and it was still very rare to broadcast live from a submarine. This guy, without saying a word, actually went up to someone's submarine. Luo Bingning muttered to herself. The silver treasure chest above her head had previously been a silver treasure chest, but now it had suddenly turned into a golden treasure chest. This treasure chest was one of the twins, and the legendary treasure chest in front of it had Lin Tian's divine sword technique. Ding dong. The doorbell rang. Luo Bingning frowned slightly, wondering who was coming over. She wasn't at work today, so the outside world would think that Lin Tian was at home protecting her. If someone came to the house and saw that she was alone, the outside world would definitely be more suspicious of Lin Tian's identity. Some forces would definitely believe that Lin Tian and Grandmaster Lin were the same person. Luo Bingning answered the video intercom. Hello, we are from the gas company. Your community is conducting a gas inspection today. There were two people in the video intercom screen. They were wearing gas company uniforms, and one of them even showed his ID to the camera. Luo Bingning frowned. Doesn't the gas company usually notify you in advance? I didn't receive any news about an inspection today. Luo Bingning asked. The other person said, the news may have been sent to your husband. Someone in your community has a gas leak today. We are conducting a random inspection. If it's inconvenient for you, we can come back later. Luo Bingning thought to herself, Lin Tian is still at sea and won't be back for a while, so it doesn't make sense to let them come back later. She did this on the contrary, which made others suspicious. No, you can come in and check. Luo Bingning opened the door. The two people from the gas company quickly put on shoe covers and entered the house. They glanced around and only saw Luo Bingning. Miss Luo, I know you. You are Master Lin's girlfriend. I am a fan of Master Lin and also a fan of Master Lin. Can I have an autograph from Master Lin? One of them said excitedly. Luo Bingning shook her head, not today, Lin Tian is cultivating, he is not available to sign for you now. Leave your contact information, and when Lin Tian is done, I'll have him call you to come and get it. The two quickly finished checking the gas. Miss Luo, I don't have anything else to do today, so I'll wait outside your villa for Master Lin. This will show that I'm more sincere. The man who wanted an autograph said with a sincere face. Luo Bingning said, Lin Tian sometimes needs a long time to practice, so you'd better go back and wait for news. It's fine, I'm free today anyway. My parents also like Master Lin, and I want to surprise them. The man said with a smile. Lu Bingying didn't know what to say when the other person said this. The two quickly closed the door and left, and the man who wanted an autograph stayed outside the villa. Lu Bingying frowned. She felt that there was something wrong with the other person. The longer he waited, the more suspicious others would become that Lin Tian was not inside the villa right now. Chapter 244, The military sent something over. What should I do? Luo Bingning muttered to herself. She had thought about imitating Lin Tian's handwriting, but the difference between her handwriting and Lin Tian's was not just a little. No matter how hard she tried to imitate it, in the eyes of a handwriting expert, they would be able to tell the difference at a glance. Hello, property management? Is there a temporary inspection by the gas company? Today? Luo Bingning called the property management. Yes, Miss Luo. A gas leak has been reported in one of the villas. To avoid accidents, we have asked the gas company to urgently check all the villas. Is there a problem, Miss Luo? The property management staff asked. No. Luo Bingying hung up the phone. Am I overreacting? Luo Bingying thought to herself. But just as she had suspected, the gas company arrived to check the villa while Lin Tian was away, and they were still waiting outside. Her intuition told her that there was probably something wrong. Send a message to her husband? But there is a risk of being discovered if she sends him a message, and he is at sea and cannot return right now. Luo Bingning thought to herself. Time passed by minute, and Luo Bingning was very anxious. She did not want Lin Tian's identity to be exposed. If others knew that Lin Tian was Grandmaster Lin, they could target Lin Tian more recklessly. Now the enemy dares not do anything reckless. Even if they kill Lin Tian, they cannot withstand Grandmaster Lin's retaliation. There are too many things in the world that can kill a person, and there are thousands of types of toxins alone. Many synthetic toxins are extremely powerful. Even if a martial arts master is exposed to a powerful toxin, it is likely that they will only die. An hour passed. Drip. Lin Tian's phone suddenly rang. He did not take his own phone with him, but the one that Grandmaster Lin used. Hello, Uncle Yang. Luo Bingning answered the phone. It's Bingning. Where is Lin Tian? Yang Jihong asked with a smile on the other end of the line. He knew that Grandmaster Lin was Lin Tian, but he was busy in the army and didn't know that Grandmaster Lin was going to broadcast live from the sea. Uncle Yang, he is cultivating. Is there anything I can help you with? I will relay it to him. Luo Bingning asked. Yang Jihong laughed and said, it's not anything particularly important. The thing he wanted is ready, and I just got word that it will be delivered to your community soon. He is cultivating, so you can take it. Yang Jihong hung up after saying that. Two military Humvees soon entered the residential area, and it wasn't long before the Humvees stopped outside the villa. Four armed soldiers jumped off the Humvees. In the front yard of the villa, the man waiting for Lin Tian's signature's face changed slightly. Are they here to arrest him? Miss Luo, you are busy with something, I will come back another day, I am sorry for the disturbance just now. The man said to Luo Bingning, who had come out. Luo Bingning nodded. The man who wanted an autograph quickly left, and four soldiers carried 8 large boxes down from the Humvee. Miss Luo, this is what Lin Tian wanted. Where should we put it? One of the 4 soldiers asked. Luo Bingning smiled and said, you guys have worked hard, let's carry it inside the house. Lin Tian is currently cultivating. Otherwise, there is no need to trouble you. The 4 soldiers carried all the boxes into the villa, and Luo Bingning poured them all a cup of tea. You guys drink some tea first. I'll go upstairs and see how Lin Tian's cultivation is going. If it's over, I'll let him come down. Luo Bingning said with a smile. She went upstairs, and 2 minutes later she came downstairs. 4 of you, let me sign for my husband. He said that he might break through and can't come downstairs for the time being. The 4 warriors stood up. Miss Luo, you can sign for him. We won't bother you anymore. We hope Lin Tian will break through successfully. One of the warriors said with a smile. He took out a signed document, and Luo Bingning signed it, and they quickly left the villa. Luo Bingning let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, someone from the military came to deliver something, which scared away the man from the gas company. Husband, what did you order from the military? Luo Bingning wondered in her heart. But despite her doubts, she did not open the boxes, as the contents might be confidential. Another 2 hours passed, and Lin Tian returned. Husband, the military delivered 8 boxes. Luo Bingning pointed to the 8 boxes in the living room. Lin Tian was a little puzzled. Are there really this many? He only asked for 10 large flying swords and 1,000 small miniature flying swords, which would add up to at most 1 box. Don't look at the small miniature flying swords, they are quite a lot, but they are very small. The miniature flying swords are only an inch long, about the same size as a small or medium nail. The medium-sized flying swords are also only 2 fingers long, and about the same width as a finger. Lin Tian opened one of the large boxes. This box is full of miniature flying swords, packed tightly together, and there are probably over 10,000 of them. They are very sharp, and an attack with a flying sword can easily kill an unprotected ordinary target. Damn, this is the exact quantity I asked for, at least 10 times more than I asked for. Lin Tian quickly opened several more boxes. 1 meter long, 20 centimeters long, very thin, suitable for large flying swords for flying sword attacks, quantity 100. There are 10,000 small flying swords and 20,000 miniature flying swords. Bingning, let me show you a magic trick. Lin Tian received all these boxes into his system space. His system space has 27 cubic meters, and there is not much in it, so storing these was easy. Luo Bingning looked at Lin Tian in disbelief. Honey, are you sure this is a magic trick and not a fairy trick? Luo Bingning said incredulously. The golden treasure chest above her head suddenly turned into a legendary treasure chest. 2 men checking the gas came to the door, and one of them stayed outside, which worried her for a long time. This is the main reason for the upgrade of the treasure chest. It's just magic. Lin Tian said with a smile. After he said that, Luo Bingning did not ask any further questions. She knew that it was not necessarily a good thing to know too much about some things. Honey, there's something going on today. 2 staff members checking the gas came to the door, and one of them wanted your signature and refused to leave. Luo Bingning told Lin Tian the situation. Lin Tian's eyes flashed with brilliance. No wonder the treasure chest on Luo Bingning's head has been upgraded a lot. Before he left, the treasure chest on Luo Bingning's head was just a silver treasure chest. Bingning, your intuition should be right. The probability that that person has a problem is not small. Later, I will call him and ask him to come over. Lin Tian said in a deep voice. Luo Bingning was worried. Honey, after the first time, there is likely to be a second time in the future. If your identity is exposed, I'm afraid you will be in danger. Lin Tian said, if you want to send me a message, you don't need to send it, just type it in a memo. No one else will be able to see it, but I will be able to. Luo Bingning's eyes lit up. Is there a chance that this will get in touch with Lin Tian? That would be good. Husband, but sometimes when I get in touch with you, you can't come back, and others might still suspect. Lin Tian thought for a moment and said, I'll teach you about hidden weapons. You can quickly become a martial arts master, and when the time comes, you can use hidden weapons to disguise it as if I were using them. Chapter 245, Honey, I need to borrow some money. Luo Bingying was puzzled. I disguise myself as you and strike? Lin Tian nodded. Next time you encounter a situation like this, go to the window and directly throw a flying sword at the other person. Luo Bingying said weakly, is that not quite right? I can't be sure if the other person really has a problem. What if the other person is really your fan? Lin Tian laughed. Sometimes you can tell. If you can't tell, then you have to find a way to tell. Luo Bingning said, in a situation like today, how can I tell? That person said that his parents are also your fans and wanted your autograph as a surprise for them. Maybe it's possible that he really is your fan, and his parents are too, but he's been hypnotized secretly. Lin Tian nodded slightly. What you said is entirely possible. In this situation, you should just give him a flying sword first. General Yang and the others have made so many flying swords for me anyway. Lin Tian said, and a medium-sized flying sword appeared in his hand. The flying sword is about the same length and width as a pen, but its blade is only about 1 millimeter thick, with a sharp point at the front and back and very sharp edges on both sides. It is moderately heavy and has full killing power. Lin Tian can use it to break through bulletproof vests within 500 meters. Some flying swords, I will sign and leave my fingerprints on them. You wear gloves when using them, so there won't be any fingerprints on them, and no one will know it was you. Lin Tian said with a smile. Luo Bingning carefully took the flying sword. Honey, do you mean use this to attack next to him? Lin Tian nodded. If you are sure it is a problem, you can just shoot the opponent directly. If you are not sure, you can shoot next to him. You can also use something to hold it and deliver it to the opponent's hands. You decide on the specific situation yourself. Luo Bingning nodded slightly. Honey, why did you ask the military to customize so many of these things? Lin Tian looked at the flying sword, which flew up. Hoo-hoo. Under Lin Tian's control, the flying sword flew around them at high speed, and the sound of breaking the air kept resounding. My strength has recently increased by 100 million points. With such a flying sword, my strength can be better utilized. I only asked for 1,000 trumpet horns and miniature flying swords, but General Yang and the others probably got me 10,000 or 20,000 each. Luo Bingying looked at Lin Tian in shock. She knew that these things were very sharp, and Lin Tian was able to control them so nimbly and fly them at high speed. Their lethality must be terrifying. If the other side doesn't use heavy weapons, you were able to deal with a division before, and now that's more than it can be? Luo Bingning exclaimed in awe. These sharp flying swords, piercing through a person's head, are probably not much more difficult than piercing through a large watermelon. Lin Tian laughed lightly. Now that I have internal strength, I can kill as many as I want. You don't have to worry too much about exposure. It's best not to expose it, and even if it does, we're not afraid. Luo Bingning said, it's better not to expose it. The enemy has some means of attack that may catch people off guard. It's best to make the enemy afraid to act. Lin Tian extended his hand, and the flying sword returned to him. Above Luo Bingning's head, next to the legendary treasure chest, there was suddenly an additional black iron treasure chest. This treasure chest is the third one. The boss is the divine level sword technique, and I don't know what the second and third are, Lin Tian muttered to himself. The third one will have to wait a bit longer, but the second one can know now. Husband, you must be hungry. I'll go cook. After dinner, you can teach me how to use hidden weapons, so that I can become strong too. Luo Bingning said earnestly. 2 people came to the door today, and one of them stayed outside and refused to leave. She didn't want this to happen again. She had already perfected her dark energy, but her practical combat experience was average. Lin Tian nodded with a smile. Swordplay and kicking are not as easy to learn as hidden weapons. As long as the hidden weapons are shot accurately and have great power, they will do. Luo Bingning only needs to practice flying a little more, and as long as she is not particularly inaccurate, she should have no problem hitting someone within a few dozen meters. As for power, she has already perfected her dark energy, and will soon become a martial arts master, so her power will definitely not be weak. I'm going to go to my room and rest for a while, Lin Tian said, reaching out and giving Luo Bingning a head patting. His hand touched the legendary treasure chest. Ding, the legendary treasure chest opens. Congratulations to the owner for obtaining the god-level sword eye. The system's voice sounded in Lin Tian's head. Lin Tian was puzzled. What is a sword eye? He quickly went upstairs, and a lot of information and energy quickly flooded into his head. He felt a headache in his head, and his spiritual power was changing. So that's it. After digesting some of the information, Lin Tian quickly understood that the sword eye is a good thing that can further enhance his strength. He currently kills enemies with his sword, and there is no problem within the visible range of the naked eye. For places he cannot see, he can use his god-level sense of smell to know where the enemy is. But sometimes the environment is complicated. The enemy is not simply hiding behind a wall. The sword eye allows the sword to detect the surrounding situation, and he can know the specific situation through his connection with the sword. When I watched TV before, some people said, "Don't blame my sword for being blind, it's a sign of insufficient strength." If you have enough strength, your sword can also have eyes. Lin Tian muttered to himself. With sword eyes, his sword's killing power can be even stronger. For example, if he goes onto a warship, he can stay outside while his flying sword enters the interior of the warship to kill the enemies inside. Even if the hatches to each compartment of the warship are locked, there will always be air vents that his flying sword can enter. Lin Tian's face showed a satisfied expression. This treasure chest is quite good. Power is the most important thing. Drip. In the kitchen, Luo Bingning's phone rang. Mom. Luo Bingning answered the phone. It was her mother Suyin calling. Bingning, there's something I don't know how to say. On the other end of the line, Suyin said with some hesitation. Luo Bingning said coquettishly, Mom, I was born to you. Even though I'm married, do you still want to keep formalities with me? Just say what you need to say. Suyin said, recently, your father has encountered a lot of problems in business. Some orders have disappeared for no reason. Although some orders are still there, the rate of cancellations has increased significantly. And some things that didn't require advance funding before now do. The company's funds are becoming increasingly tight. Your father borrowed 2 billion from the bank, but the company's liquidity is still very tight. Luo Bingning anxiously said, Mom, why didn't you tell me earlier? Suyin said helplessly, you don't know your father's character? He can't bring himself to ask his daughter and son-in-law for a loan. He just got home, but then he got a phone call and went out in a hurry again. There's a new problem, and I guess he'll have to swallow some of the working capital again. Lin Tian came downstairs at this time. Mom, don't be too anxious. I'll talk to Lin Tian. Luo Bingning said. Well, your father has been smoking a lot recently, and I'm also distressed to see it, so I'm calling you. Suyin hung up the phone. Lin Tian arrived at the kitchen door. Honey, can you lend me some money? The amount may be relatively large, maybe 2 to 3 billion. Luo Bingning said with some embarrassment. Chapter 246 Preparing for the Auction of the. Lin Tian reached out and touched Luo Bingying's forehead. You don't have a fever, so Bingying, what nonsense are you talking in the middle of the day? Luo Bingying felt a little uncomfortable. Honey, just forget I said it. This is really too much money, and I understand if you don't want to lend it to me. Lin Tian said impatiently, screw your understanding. Do you understand what I just said? We are husband and wife, what the hell is there to understand about you asking me for a loan? My money is your money, it's our joint property. Luo Bingning looked at Lin Tian in disbelief. Honey, but that's a lot of money. Even in the wealthy families, the husband and wife keep their money separate, and a large sum of money often needs to be borrowed. Luo Bingning said in a daze. Lin Tian reached out and pinched Luo Bingning's cheek. you also said that it's a wealthy family, and we are just a small family. My parents have saved 3 billion for them, and they are eating the interest. They will never be able to spend all that money in their lifetime. Our little family is just the two of us. What's mine is yours, and as for you, you're all mine. Luo Bingning took the initiative to throw herself into his arms. MMM. Lin Tian kissed her little mouth, and Luo Bingning responded passionately until the food in the pot gave off a burnt smell. Hubby, it's all your fault, the food is burnt. Luo Bingning said coquettishly. How can I blame you? Obviously you kissed me first. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame yourself for this. Lin Tian said with a smile, don't bother with this dish, the food you cooked is more than enough for the two of us. Soon the two sat down to eat. Luo Bingning told him about her mother's phone call. Lin Tian said, the root of this matter is actually with me. I have offended some forces, and they have used their influence to cause the Luo family company to encounter various difficulties. Luo Bingning was puzzled. My relationship with you is no secret, dear. Aren't those forces afraid of offending you as a result? Lin Tian said indifferently, some companies have long been secretly influenced and controlled by some overseas capital. There are also some that have not been controlled, but compared to Master Lin, they may be more afraid of some overseas forces. If they don't do business with the Luo family, or make things difficult for the Luo family a little, Master Lin should not target them. But if they don't listen to some foreign forces, the powerful foreign capital will probably make them go bankrupt. Luo Bingning's eyebrows wrinkled slightly. Honey, what should we do about the current situation? Even if there is additional capital, it may not be able to change the situation. Lin Tian said, I have nearly 40 billion yuan on my card, and some key companies can be bought directly. In this way, production will not be so easily blocked. As for orders, as long as there are many people who need my help, the Luo family will never lack orders of all kinds. Lu Bingning's heart stirred. Husband, are you planning to auction off some of the elixir of youth? Lin Tian nodded, smart. Grandmaster Lin has shown his strength, but no matter how strong he is, many forces will not actually be in need of Grandmaster Lin. As I offend more forces, it is very likely that Su Anna and the others will move away from here next. Lu Bingning's eyes lit up. Lin Tian offending more forces has this benefit? The longer it takes, the lower the hopes of Su Anna and the others will become, and their families may still have trouble behind them. Luo Bingning said dreamily, Karina and Yista will not, and perhaps other princesses will come. The more powerful Grandmaster Lin's demonstrated strength is, and the more forces he offends, the more the Su family will back off, while at the same time more powerful forces will become interested. Different strengths, different circles. This is a very normal phenomenon. Even if they are princesses, they are far less important than you. Lin Tian smiled and looked at Luo Bingning. Luo Bingning gave a sweet smile, honey, the friendship you can't obtain by force, the Zhuoyandan can. Lin Tian nodded. No matter how powerful you are, it's useless if no one needs you. Auctioning a few Zhuoyandan will make people who want Zhuoyandan need me, and it will strengthen our friendship. Luo Bingning said, honey, just this way, others will know that you have things like Zhuoyandan. Maybe there will be new trouble. Lin Tian chuckled, with my strength, who can rob it from me? The auction of thee is about to start, and isn't the beauty going to be launched on the market? Auctioning a few is great publicity. Luo Bingning nodded. Where do you plan to auction it, honey? Lin Tian smiled, I was going to find an auction house, but then I thought, there is no such need at all. I can send a message using Hua Yin, and it will be known by the wealthy people all over the world. It is much faster than publicity through an auction house. The auction can be held on the starship. The imperial capital. After making the call, Suyin felt a little uneasy. She didn't want to borrow money herself and affect Lin Tian's relationship with them. Lin Tian was definitely not a stingy person for being able to give them the, but generous people might also be sensitive about borrowing money. Drip. Suyin called Luo Hongchuan. Soon, Luo Hongchuan answered the phone. Honey, I have some things to take care of at work. I think I'll be busy until late tonight, and I probably won't be home. Luo Hongchuan said with some fatigue. Suyin said weakly, honey, I called your daughter to see if she could borrow some money from Lin Tian. Luo Hongchuan's face changed slightly. You, sigh. You shouldn't have made that call. No matter how much money Lin Tian has, it's his. Bingying and he have gotten married, but they're not engaged yet, so it's inappropriate to borrow from him. Even if the company goes under, I don't want to affect their relationship. Luo Hongchuan's brows furrowed. Suyin smiled bitterly. Honey, I can see you're worried. Hurry up, honey, if Bingying hasn't told Lin Tian yet, tell her not to say anything, I'll figure it out myself. Luo Hongchuan hung up after saying that. Before Suyin could call Luo Bingying, her phone rang, and the caller ID showed that it was Luo Bingying calling. Su Yin's heart skipped a beat. Is there going to be a problem? There are not a few divorces in the rich and powerful families caused by money. Bingying, if Lin Tian doesn't lend you, don't force it. Your father said he would find a way to solve it himself, he can handle it. Suyin said when the call was connected. Luo Bingying laughed. Brother Tian said that the money in the family belongs to both of us, I don't need to borrow it. He said that all the shareholders of the Luo family companies who want to withdraw their shares, we will take them back, but at a discount. We will directly acquire the remaining key companies that are holding us hostage. Suyin took a deep breath. Bingying, did Lin Tian really say that? Doing so will not necessarily be enough with 20 billion. Mom, if 20 billion is not enough, then 30 billion. Luo Bingying said domineeringly. In this way, the problem of production capacity can be solved, and Tian will have other ways to deal with the problem of orders. Chapter 247, A Surprise for the Super-Rich. In the evening, in the courtyard of the imperial capital, Old Shen was lying around leisurely. He picked up his phone and opened Huayin. Every day at this time, he would watch short videos. Lin Tian would post 1 or 2 videos every day, and sometimes, if he was in a good mood, he might post 3 videos. Soon, Old Shen finished watching a new era video. Master Lin is amazing, but he posts too little. Every day, I have to watch some old videos. Old Shen muttered. He refreshed the page, and suddenly he froze. 2 words were written in bright lights on a new video advertisement. Dad, this is really rare. Master Lin actually played an advertisement. If he is short of money, just do a couple more live broadcasts and the money will come pouring in, right? Xin Wansheng, the son of Xin Lao, said. He is now an ardent fan of Lin Tian. Maybe Master Lin will help the Luo family advertise. The Luo family is having some difficulties recently, and there is a lot of internal and external pressure. Shen Laoda said. They know that Lin Tian is Grandmaster Lin. Xin Wansheng nodded. I've heard that too. Many shareholders of the companies controlled by the Luo family have withdrawn their shares. International capital is exerting pressure on various businesses of the Luo family. Shen Laoda sighed lightly. The Luo family is having a hard time getting past this hurdle. I secretly wanted to help the Luo family, so I asked a few old friends, but they all declined politely. With international capital stepping in, they are also under a lot of pressure from the capital predators. Shen Laoda said as he clicked on the video. The video showed the figure of Grandmaster Lin. Family members, a small advertisement. In my hand is a pill I have refined, called the pill of longevity. If taken by an elderly person with no major illnesses and whose lifespan is almost over, it can extend their life by 1 to 2 years. If taken by someone whose lifespan is not almost over, their bodily functions will return to as they were a few years ago, that is, they will feel a few years younger. However, the validity period of one pill is only 1 year. If taken 1 pill every year for a long time, the lifespan can be extended by more than 10 years. Grandmaster Lin smiled as he introduced the pill in the video. Shen Laoshi and Shen Wansheng were both extremely surprised. Since ancient times, immortality has been the pursuit of countless people, and even bigwigs like the first emperor of Qin were very persistent about it. The pill of immortality requires a variety of rare medicinal ingredients and is very difficult to refine. I will auction off 3 of them on the starship the day after tomorrow. The starting price is $100 million, and the entry fee is $1 million. Regardless of whether or not the pill of immortality is auctioned off, the entry fee will not be refunded. The entrance fee will be transferred to Lin Tian's account, and all entrance fees will be donated to a children's welfare home. The video ends here. Shen Lao looked at Shen Wansheng, who said, Dad, I'll transfer the money right away. You'll definitely get one. Shen Lao said, we definitely have to go, but there are only 3 to be auctioned, so it's not certain that we'll get one. I still have a few years to live, and there are some super rich people in the world, but they only have a few months left to live. They are willing to pay a huge price to extend their lives by 1 or 2 years. Shen Wansheng nodded slightly. That's true. Although the Shen family is very rich, with assets of hundreds of billions of dollars, they are nothing compared to some international giants. The owners behind some super conglomerates have assets of hundreds of billions of dollars, and money is just a number to them. There was news before that Lin Tian's parents and Luo Bingning's parents had become younger, and they must have used the elixir of life. $100 million for one pill, that's ridiculously expensive. You're thinking too much, upstairs. $100 million for one pill is just the starting price. If it really only costs $100 million, Grandmaster Lin is probably going to sell hundreds or thousands of them very quickly. The video of Lin Tian hadn't been posted for long, but there were already a large number of comments in the comment section, and many people were analyzing it in a very logical way. Dad, not many people are questioning the authenticity of the pill of immortality. Shen Wancheng looked through the comments and said. Shen Lao said calmly, a figure like Grandmaster Lin would definitely pay great attention to his words and deeds. How could he possibly fake it for a little money? To question this is to expose one's own intelligence. Shen Wancheng asked, Dad, I want to go too. Do we need 2 tickets for the 2 of us? Shen Lao refreshed the comment area. Sure enough, there was already a message from Grandmaster Lin pinned at the top. 1 ticket admits 2 people. In addition, the person who photographed the elixir needs to use it on site. A certain manner in the United States. Buffet was having breakfast. Although he had just woken up, he was not in the best of spirits. After all, he was already in his 90s and his life was coming to an end. Boss, there is important news. Buffet's butler walked quickly over to him and bent down. Where is there another battle? Buffet asked nonchalantly. Wars would affect his investments, and he definitely had to be the first to know. But although he needed to know, he didn't need to care too much. His stocks had been allocated in various ways and were highly resistant to risk. Boss, Lin Zongshur of China has sent a message that he will auction off the 3 immortality pills he has refined the day after tomorrow. The details are as follows. The butler said respectfully. Show me the video. Buffett quickly watched the video and said happily, I'll take it, it can extend life and also make people more energetic. Book me a flight to China's City S. Oh yes, find Lin Tian's account and buy the admission ticket. The butler said respectfully, okay boss, I'll arrange it right away, and anything else for today and tomorrow. Postpone. Buffett said without hesitation. Compared to his lifespan, those things are nothing. His assets are worth hundreds of billions of US dollars, so a little more or less won't have a big impact on him, but living an extra year or 2 with more energy will have a huge impact on him. If he has more energy, he can make a lot more money. Book me the nearest flight. Prepare my private jet, I'm going to China. Not only Buffett, but many super rich people around the world also got the news and set off for China. Even if they themselves are not very old, what about their parents? Some of them are still very filial. Their parents often have a lot of assets in their hands. If they are not filial, those assets may go to someone else with a will. Moreover, the elixir of immortality can be used not only by those who are about to die, the sooner it is used, the more effective it is. Ding dong. The doorbell rang. Lin Tian opened the door, and outside it was Luo Hongchuan and Suyin. Lin Tian was soon going to be engaged to Luo Bingning. Uncle, auntie. Lin Tian said with a smile. He and Luo Bingning had not yet married, and he had not yet changed his name. Luo Hongchuan and the others entered the room. Lin Tian, you should be able to speak freely here, right? Luo Hongchuan whispered. Lin Tian laughed and said, Uncle, don't worry, there is definitely no eavesdropping here, so feel free to say what you want to say. Luo Hongchuan nodded and said, the 30 billion you transferred has already been spent, with 100 billion spent on buying a lot of shares. Basically, they were purchased at a 20% discount. Once the news of your auctioning of the Jian pill spreads, some of them will regret it and want to redeem those shares. Those people are quite smart. As long as Grandmaster Lin has something like this, many rich people around the world will have to beg Grandmaster Lin. How could the Luo family lack orders? The capital market has already responded. Some of the listed companies controlled by the Luo family have already reached their daily limit. They lost money when they sold their shares, and as a result, the Luo family took off. In the end, they lost a lot of money. They can't even think about it. Lin Tian sneered. Chapter 248, Ice Condensation. You need to be more restrained in your love life. Lu Hongchuan said with a slight hesitation, Lin Tian, some of them have people behind them, and the shares of these people. Lin Tian said, they chose to abandon you when you were in trouble, and now they want to get back on the bus. How can there be such a good thing? If they want to make trouble, no matter the underworld or the white world, just tell them to choose, and I will play with them. Lu Hongchuan laughed lightly. I actually don't want them to come back either, so I will reply to them as you said. Lin Tian nodded. Uncle, you don't have to worry about them. They're just some lowly guys. If they dare to mess with us, I'll send them to jail one by one. Lin Tian knew that anyone who dares to use their power to cause trouble for Luo Hongchuan and his men definitely won't be innocent. It won't be difficult for him to find evidence of their illegal activities with his hacking skills, and they'll be courting death if they dare to cause trouble. Lin Tian, these are some of the companies that we plan to buy out. These companies have basically been cooperating with us for many years. They don't want to block us, they just can't help it. Selling the company is a good choice for them. Luo Hongchuan took out a stack of documents. Lin Tian rubbed his forehead. Uncle, please spare me, showing me all this is giving me a headache. You know these companies, so you can decide which ones to buy and at what price. You've all trusted Bingying to me, so why can't I trust you with this little matter? Lo Hongquan said. Lin Tian, this is no small sum of money. Lin Tian nodded. In my heart, these are far less important than Bingying. He transferred 30 billion to Lo Hongquan, which is a lot of money, but is this money as important as the legendary treasure chest? Not to mention the legendary treasure chest, the golden treasure chest is worth more than that. The martial arts grandmaster was opened from the golden treasure chest, and the god level was also opened from the golden treasure chest. Lin Tian, what kind of mind-altering soup did Bingying feed you? Suyin laughed lightly. Wife, is that how you talk about your own daughter? Luo Hongchuan said unkindly. Suyin shrugged. I'm telling the truth. It's 30 billion, not 3 million. In the past, when my family asked you to borrow 300 million, you wouldn't kick me? Luo Hongchuan. Although the Luo family is rich, 300 million is still a lot of money. Auntie, the main thing is that I'm a love-struck fool. I've set my sights on Bingying, and Bingying has been quite good to me. Lin Tian said with a smile. Lu Hongchuan and Suyin were both speechless. He called himself a love-struck fool, and he was walking in someone else's footsteps, leaving no room for others. What else could they say? Anyway, Lin Tian and Lu Bingying were married, and Lin Tian was good to his daughter, which was a good thing. Lin Tian, you guys chat. I'll cook today, and Bingying can eat when she gets off work. Suyin said with a smile. Lin Tian and Luo Hongchuan went to the study. Luo Hongchuan said, Lin Tian, things have not been going well lately. You must have offended some people in power. Can I know what it is? Lin Tian poured a cup of tea for Luo Hongchuan. Uncle, you really want to know? If you know about something, it may make you feel uneasy. Lin Tian chuckled. Luo Hongchuan nodded. Right now, I feel a little uneasy, but maybe it will be better if I know. Lin Tian pondered for a moment. The situation in the world that you have learned about differs somewhat from the real situation. There is an old Chinese saying that goes, if they are not of our clan, their hearts will be different. This clan does not simply refer to foreign clans. It mainly refers to the blood clans, the lizard people, and the wolf clan. Luo Hongchuan looked at Lin Tian in shock. Are these true? Lin Tian nodded slightly. It's true, they lurked among humans and now coexist with them. Luo Hongchuan took a deep breath. If so, they definitely want you and Grandmaster Lin to die. This conflict is irreconcilable. Lin Tian smiled faintly. You're right, uncle. Some time ago, I even killed a count of the blood clan. The Tianhe security company jumping incident should have been done by the lizard people. They were trying to smear me. Luo Hongchuan asked, how strong are they? Lin Tian swallowed a mouthful of tea. On the surface, there are 8 major families in the blood clan, each with a duke. Their dukes are equivalent to our grandmasters. I don't know much about the lizard people, but the United States is stronger than Europe, so I assume the lizard people's power will be even stronger. Luo Hongchuan's heart tightened. There are 8 martial arts grandmasters in the blood clan? Uncle, are you shocked? Don't panic. Even if the 8 masters of the blood clan attack together, I can still beat them. Lin Tian said with a smile. Luo Hongchuan looked at Lin Tian in shock. There are rumors online that you are a martial arts grandmaster. Is it true that you have become a martial arts grandmaster? Lin Tian laughed and said, I have indeed become a martial arts grandmaster. You have to keep this news a secret, uncle. The blood clan and the lizard people are not united. But if I become too strong, it will make them unite. Lo Hongquan nodded. A powerful external enemy will indeed make them unite, which is not good for Lin Tian or the Huaxia nation. What about the wolves? You only mentioned the bloodline and lizard people, why didn't you mention the wolves? Lo Hongquan asked. Lin Tian said, the main body of the wolf clan is in the bear country, and the bear country's relationship with our Huaxia nation is still quite good. The wolf clan is also facing strong pressure from the bloodline and lizard people. Let me tell you about their origins. Sipping his tea, Lin Tian gave a detailed account of the situation of the three major alien races. Luo Hongquan was overwhelmed with emotion after listening. The Luo family has assets worth hundreds of billions of dollars. He thought he knew a lot about the world, but it turned out that he only knew the tip of the iceberg. Uncle, that's basically the situation. If they completely piss me off, I can kill them. If I completely piss them off, the entire Hua country economy will inevitably suffer a heavy blow, and World War III is likely to break out. Lin Tian laughed lightly. Luo Hongquan nodded, I understand, you all have the strength to completely overturn the table, but overturning the table will be bad for everyone. Lin Tian said, if the table is completely overturned, it will be somewhat beneficial to me, and they, as a foreign race, will inevitably be purged. With my strength, I should be able to survive a nuclear war. But I may not be able to protect my parents, Bingying, or you and me, and countless people in the entire country will die. Luo Hongquan let out a sigh of relief, if the day of war really comes, just protect Bingying. I will build a doomsday bunker underground at home, the kind that won't be affected by a nuclear explosion. Lin Tian smiled, Uncle, it shouldn't come to that would be good for no one. But it's good that you're prepared in advance. With that, Lin Tian stood up, Bingying is back. The two came out of the study. Suyin also came out of the kitchen when she heard the door open. When they saw Luo Bingying, Luo Hongquan and Suyin both changed expression. Luo Bingying's face did not look very healthy. Dad, Mom. Luo Bingying called out joyfully. Luo Hongquan and Suyin both answered. Suyin pulled Luo Bingying into the room. Bingying, you are newlyweds, but you still need to be more restrained in bed. You are sick, and your body will not be able to withstand it. Luo Bingying. Chapter 249, Please call me Master Luo. Suyin frowned, Bingying, don't be careless. You look much worse than you did a while ago. If you're embarrassed to tell Lin Tian, I'll talk to him for you. You young people just don't know how to control yourselves. Luo Bingying stamped her foot. She said in a shameful and annoyed tone, Mom, what are you talking about? I haven't had sex with Tiangu yet. My appearance getting worse has nothing to do with that. Suyin looked at Luo Bingying in disbelief. What did you say? You've been together for quite some time and you haven't done it yet? Suyin couldn't believe it. Luo Bingying's face turned red. The black iron treasure chest on top of her head suddenly turned into a silver treasure chest. However, Suyin couldn't see the treasure chest on top of her head. Mom, due to my physical condition, I can't do it with Lin Tian for the time being. Luo Bingying explained. Suyin's face changed drastically. If it wasn't for this reason, then has Luo Bingying's condition deteriorated a lot? If it is the latter, she would rather hope for the former. If she controls herself a little, Luo Bingying's complexion will return to normal. Lin Tian is extremely skilled in medicine, so how could your complexion have worsened so much so quickly? Suyin was extremely worried. Luo Bingying said, Mom, don't worry. Tian started treating me, and that's why my complexion has worsened. Dad definitely wants to know too. Let's eat while we let Tian talk to you, he can explain it more clearly. Suyin nodded, and they came out of the room. Lin Tian saw that there had been a change in Luo Bingying's treasure chest on her head, and it had directly changed from a black iron treasure chest to a silver treasure chest. Lin Tian, Bingying's complexion is much worse than before, what on earth is going on with her? The four of them sat down as Suyin asked with concern. Lin Tian smiled and said, Auntie, it's like this, I started treating Bingying, and her situation cannot be improved without destruction. The reason why her complexion has worsened is this. After Lin Tian finished speaking, Luo Hongquan and Suyin both breathed a sigh of relief. Although Luo Hongquan didn't ask, he was also very worried. Bingying, you're a martial artist now? Suyin asked with some surprise. Luo Bingying nodded, and she said with some smugness, Mom, I've now perfected my dark energy. In just a couple of days, I should be able to become a martial arts master. In the future, please call me Master Luo. Luo Hongquan and Suyin looked at Luo Bingying in shock. Lin Tian, is Bingning really about to become a martial arts master? Lu Hongchuan said in disbelief. Lin Tian said, Bingning is indeed about to become a martial arts master, and if things go well, she could become one tonight. After she becomes a martial arts master, her condition will look even worse, so you have to be prepared for that. Suyin said with concern, worse? Lin Tian nodded, her internal strength will be stronger, and at the same time, the effects of the ice-cold energy on her body will also intensify. After we get engaged, I'll take her to Sanya. She'll feel better in the tropics, and she'll look about the same as she does now after becoming a martial arts master. Luo Hongchuan and Suyin nodded. Lin Tian, you've gone to a lot of trouble. I'd like to toast you. Luo Hongchuan raised his wine glass. Lin Tian quickly said, Uncle, Bingning is my wife, and I'll do my best to heal her. It's only natural. I toast you. After dinner, Luo Bingning quickly went back to her room to practice. Lin Tian watched by her side. She might break through tonight. With him watching by her side, the risk of Luo Bingning breaking through would be lower. Gradually, it was midnight. Luo Bingning had completed the third Zhou Tian. Boom! Luo Bingning's internal strength surged forward like a tidal wave, and they entered a meridian that had never been entered before. This meridian Lin Tian did not help open. Luo Bingning's internal strength has grown to the point where she can break through on her own, and it would be better for her to open up this important meridian by herself. Lin Tian's face revealed a faint smile. Luo Bingning's cultivation has finally broken through to the master level. Apart from him, in the entire country of China, Lin Tian doesn't know if there are any more grandmasters, and there aren't many martial arts masters. Luo Bingning has become a very strong martial arts master. And she is still so young. If the news of her breakthrough spreads, it will definitely cause a sensation, and her name will also appear on the assassination list in the future. However, Luo Bingning has a special constitution. As long as she doesn't use her hands, no one can possibly sense that she has internal strength. It is even more impossible to tell from her complexion, heartbeat, breathing, etc. that she has cultivation, and one can only tell that her condition is very poor. Husband, I've become a martial arts master. Luo Bingning said excitedly as she opened her eyes. Lin Tian said with a smile, you have broken through in your cultivation, and we are about to get engaged, so I will teach you takedowns then. Luo Bingning's face had been a little pale, but when Lin Tian said this, her pretty face became visibly rosy. Her heartbeat quickened. Hubby, I'm so sleepy. It's quite late, you should go to bed too. Luo Bingning pulled the quilt over and got under it. Wife, when you learn the grappling hands, it won't be a bad story for us as a couple if you use your delicate hands to capture the dragon. Lin Tian laughed. Luo Bingning. Lin Tian left. Luo Bingning thought in a disorganized manner. Before long, the silver treasure chest above her head turned into a golden one. Back in the master bedroom, Lin Tian did not go to sleep. He turned on the computer and started typing furiously. The pressure from the vampires and lizard demi-humans was not small. After all, the United States was currently the world's #1 military power. There are two ways to reduce his stress, the first is to become stronger, the second is to make the country stronger. Lin Tian has already spoken a lot about the 6th generation stealth fighter, and later he also gave Su Lao a lot of information. Now he is typing up information about the 5th generation strategic bomber, and it is a 5.5 strategic bomber. P.S. Parallel dimensions, B2, and the White Swan all belong to the 5th generation. The 5.5 generation also belongs to the 5th generation. Phew! In the morning, the sun rose in the east. Lin Tian let out a sigh. He had fought hard for several nights to get the general information together, and he could ask Su Lao and the others about the details later. He hit the enter key and sent the information. He still sent the information to Su Lao. Su Lao was in charge of stealth fighter research and development, but he definitely knew the bigwigs who studied strategic bombers. Half an hour later, Su Lao turned on his computer. He had developed the habit of turning on his computer every morning to see if Lin Tian had sent him any more information. Ha! Lao Su froze for a moment. Lin Tian had really given him something again. It was an idea for a 5th generation semi-strategic bomber. When Lao Su read the title of the document, his eyes widened. Lin Xiaolin had actually jumped from fighter jets to strategic bombers. No wonder he hadn't sent any information for the past 3 days. Lao Su muttered to himself. Excitement shone in his eyes. China has the J-20 stealth fighter, so it is not lagging behind, and the strategic bomber is still supported by the sixth master. Old Su knew that the experimental bomber had already been built, but there were still some problems. The indicators were not very satisfactory. Lin Xiaolin is estimated to have built the fifth-generation semi-strategic bomber. Old Su's heartbeat accelerated. He couldn't wait to open the file. He wanted to know what kind of parameters Lin Tian's fifth-generation semi-strategic bomber had. Chapter 250, The Camel State is Technologically Savvy. Su Laozhou trembled a little as he clicked on the folder with the mouse. There were many subfolders inside the folder. The first folder contained the design ideas and design indicators for the fifth-generation and a half strategic bomber. Suborbital unmanned. Stealth strategic bomber. Flying at 22 times the speed of sound, it has global combat capabilities and can reach any region of the world within an hour. After reading the first folder, Su Laoshi excitedly dialed a number. How is the project you are in charge of progressing, Chen? Su asked. He was calling an academician called Chen Wanyan, who was in charge of the suborbital strategic bomber project. Su, why are you asking me this? The future of my project is very bright, but the road is very rough. The biggest problem at the moment is that funding is not quite enough. Su, how about you give me some funding if your project is progressing smoothly? Chen asked with a smile. The country is already researching suborbital strategic bombers, but there are just too many projects that the country needs to research. The Navy has burned through a lot of money over the years. Each of those warships is made with real money, and each warship requires a lot of money. Within the Air Force, fighter jets are a priority development project, and strategic bombers have been pushed to the sidelines. On the one hand, although the sixth master is old, he has many brothers, and together they have a high deterrent capability. On the other hand, strategic bombers are used less often. China is still focused on local defense. Strategic bombers are offensive weapons. Chen, you're thinking too much. My project is advancing quickly these days, and so is the rate at which it's burning through money. Su said impatiently, I called you because I have something very important to discuss with you. I'll give you a document later. After hanging up, Su called Lin Tian. Lin, I saw the document you uploaded. You've been busy all night, and I'm sorry to bother you at this hour. Su La apologized. Lin Tian's voice came over. Su La, I can stay up for 3 or 5 days without any problem. Is there a problem? Lin Tian, I'll give you the information about a person. You give him the information I gave you. He's in charge of this. In the future, you can communicate with him directly in this regard. Su La said. Lin Tian smiled and said, Okay, Su La. Soon Lin Tian got the contact information. He was another person who quietly dedicated himself to his work. Academicians are all secretly evaluated. The strength of the country cannot be separated from these unsung heroes. Chen Wanyan was sitting in front of the computer at the moment. Suddenly, a WeChat-like interface popped up on his computer. Chen Wanyan's face changed slightly. He was in the research institute, and network defense was very strict. At the moment, the network defense of the research institute had not been triggered. The other party had silently invaded the research institute. Old Chen, you can enter the following network space to view the files inside. You can also leave a message here if you have any questions. You don't have to worry about its security. Lin Tian gave an address of a network space. Okay. Chen Wanyan replied. He entered the online space Lin Tian had given him. There was a call from Su Laorun, so he naturally trusted Lin Tian more. Ha! Chen Wanyan saw the files inside. His eyes widened. The design data is higher than what we set. If it can really be implemented, the fifth generation and a half will definitely be no problem. It can even be called a sixth generation bomber. Chen Wanyan thought to himself. He quickly began to look at the various designs behind it, and as he looked, he became completely immersed in it. It's wonderful. It's entirely possible to develop this design, and it will take much less time and money. The strategic bomber that's developed will be even more powerful. Chen Wanyan muttered to himself. He felt his stomach rumble, as he had been concentrating since early morning. Brother Su, who gave you this information? This information is excellent, it will be of great use to our project. Or rather, we can just study it directly. Chen Wanyan excitedly said into the phone, and many things that had been troubling him suddenly became clear. On the other end of the line, Sula smiled and said, "The person who gave you the information is the chief designer of the 6th generation of stealth fighter jets in our country. Who he is has to be kept secret for now, but if he wants to tell you, he will tell you himself in the future." Chen Wanyan was shocked. The chief designer of the 6th generation of stealth fighter jets was actually also proficient in strategic bombers and had given him such valuable information. "Brother Chen, is the information very useful?" Su Lao asked. Chen Wanyan took a deep breath. "Su Lao, it's not just useful, you can basically figure it out by following the instructions." Su Lao laughed, "That's his style." "Chen Lao, how long do you think it will take you to figure it out?" "To be honest, our modified 5th generation and a half J-20 experimental aircraft is almost ready, so you guys need to hurry up." Chen Wanyan was surprised. 5th generation and a half? The 5th generation and a half J-20 should be able to take on 3, right? "Brother Su, everything goes well. 6 months is not very good, but a year should be about right," Chen Wanyan said after a moment's consideration. Su Laogao smiled and said, "You're a bit conservative. Just listen to me. If you don't understand something, just ask. The other party will probably be able to answer your questions. In a world of great contention, time is of the essence." Chen Wanyan said with a serious expression, "Brother Su, you're right, time is of the essence. We'll try to get it done in a shorter period of time." After hanging up the phone, Chen Wanyan ate something casually and continued his research. He kept reading until midnight. "Awesome, his level is much higher than mine," Chen Wanyan muttered to himself. "No, for a project like this, more people must be involved, and it must be completed in a shorter period of time," Chen Wanyan thought to himself. As long as more people are involved, it will definitely be completed faster. He plans to take a night flight to the imperial capital. He needs people and more funding. In the morning, golden sunlight shone on the sea. By the shore, the starship was docked quietly. Many limousines and even luxury car convoys from various hotels were setting off, all heading for the yacht marina. Today was the day of the auction for the elixir of youth. There were 100 or 200 wealthy people who had paid Lin Tian $1 million each for an admission ticket. Each ticket allowed 2 people in, so there might be more than 300 people boarding the starship. The starship is a super luxury yacht over 100 meters long, and it can easily accommodate more than 300 people in a short period of time. Boom! Lin Tian started off in the Cullinan. Luo Hongchuan sat in the passenger seat, and he would go with him. Suyin stayed at the villa to accompany Luo Bingying. Lin Tian and Luo Bingying will soon get engaged, and Lin Tian's parents are on their way over, as there are still some things that need to be discussed. "Lin Tian, what price do you expect to auction off?" Luo Hongchuan asked. Lin Tian chuckled, "It definitely won't be low. The princes from the Camel Kingdom are here, and they know technology. The technology contained in the elixir of life is not low." Luo Hongchuan smiled and said, "You're right, the princes and kings of the Camel Kingdom really know a lot about technology." Chapter 251 Disguised as Grandmaster Lin. Click, click. At the yacht marina, many reporters gathered here, constantly pressing the shutter to take photos. One after another, luxury cars arrived, and from them stepped a group of powerful men. Old Man Barfoot actually came. It's not surprising that he's here, people from the royal families of several countries have come. Some of them don't seem to be people on the Forbes list. What does Forbes count for? Many of the people here are probably the behind-the-scenes bosses of various consortia or families, and they possess even more staggering wealth. Many reporters excitedly discussed as they took photos. Oldest son, be low-key after boarding the ship. Our Shin family has a bit of money, but our assets are only about $10 billion, which is probably at the bottom of today's guests. Another luxury car arrived, and inside the car, Shin Laozi reminded him, Shin Wanchang was also in this luxury car. The Shin family has assets of 100 billion yuan, which is a super wealthy family in China, but it is really nothing in the world. The situation in China is different from that in many countries. It is much more difficult to create such a super consortium in China. Some of the wealthiest companies in China belong to the state, while in many countries they are privately controlled. Dad, I know. I will definitely be careful with my words and actions. Shin Wancheng nodded. Soon the car in which the 2 men were riding stopped, and Shin Laojun and the others got off, and immediately many reporters pressed the shutter. Old Shin has indeed arrived. The Shin family's wealth is unremarkable among today's guests, but Old Shin is Master Lin's eldest brother. Some people whispered. As the minutes passed, the many people gathered at the pier marveled. Not only had the prince of the Camel Kingdom come, but the old king of the Camel Kingdom had also come here. The old king of the Camel Kingdom was the father of the current king. He was very old and his life was already in the countdown. Grandpa, be careful. The third prince of the Camel Kingdom helped his grandfather onto the starship. Many other guests were on the deck of the starship, and among these guests, there were quite a few very old ones. When they saw the old king of the Camel Kingdom get on board, they frowned inwardly, knowing that one of the 3 immortality elixirs would definitely be snatched by this one. Everyone knew very well about the financial strength of the Camel Kingdom. If you dug at random places in the desert, you might be able to dig up oil. In other countries, oil has to be extracted from deep underground with a lot of effort, but in the Camel Kingdom, the oil just bubbles up to the surface. Everyone, the starting price for the 3 immortality pills is $500 million. If you don't want to pay that, you can leave. Prince Salman of the Camel Kingdom said with a smile. Everyone. Prince Salman, the starting price is clearly $100 million. Someone said. Salman smiled slightly and said, Master Lin did say $100 million, but I'm saying $500 million. I'll take it all if it's less than $500 million. Many people present were speechless. The auction had not even started yet, and Salman had already raised the starting price to $500 million. Are you all thinking that you can get it for less than $500 million? Grandmaster Lin has only brought out 3 in total. I'm saving you all time. Salman helped his grandfather sit down. Someone said, 3 immortality pills is really too little. We've all come a long way. Can we ask Grandmaster Lin to bring out a few more immortality pills for auction? That's fine. It would be best if there were 1 or 2 dozen. Many people nodded in agreement. Salman shook his head. He didn't think Grandmaster Lin would do it. If he wanted to sell more, he would have to offer more than just 3 pills. As far as he knew, Grandmaster Lin didn't lack money. The reason he was offering 3 pills for auction this time might have something to do with the recent troubles the Luo family had encountered. If he wanted to get more pills, he would have to offer something other than money. For example, friendship. Lin Tian's car is here. Someone suddenly said by the yacht. Lin Tian's Cullinan arrived at the dock. He and Luo Hongchuan got out of the car, and the several hundred reporters here immediately snapped pictures like crazy. Luo Hongchuan felt a little excited. Although he was the chairman of the Luo group and the Luo family had tens of billions of assets domestically, he had rarely experienced such scenes. Lin Tian, I want to bury your children. Master Lin, where is Grandmaster Lin? Many reporters shouted excitedly, and the words shouted by a few beautiful reporters made Lin Tian roll his eyes in secret. Father-in-law is right here. Stop it. Lo Hongquan glanced at Lin Tian. Having such an outstanding son-in-law also caused a bit of trouble. He and Su Yin were actually a bit worried. Luo Bingning was deeply in love with Lin Tian. What if she got hurt in the future? Princess Kalina and the others were staying next to Lin Tian and the others. Uncle, let's go up. Lin Tian smiled. Soon, the 2 of them boarded the starship as well, and many people on the starship greeted Lin Tian and his party warmly one after the other. Lin Tian is the disciple of Grandmaster Lin. There are also rumors that Lin Tian is actually Grandmaster Lin. Everyone, thank you for coming. My master is also nearby, but he doesn't want to show his face. I will be hosting today's auction. Lin Tian said with a smile. Someone grumbled, Lin Tian, so many bigwigs have come here, and your master doesn't even show up. He doesn't take any of us seriously. Lin Tian looked at the other person. His eyes narrowed slightly. It seems that the other person's goal was not to get the pill of immortality, but to meet him and Grandmaster Lin. If they can't provoke Grandmaster Lin, some forces will definitely increase the chance that he and Grandmaster Lin are the same person. Indeed, Grandmaster Lin should show up. Yes, we are all here for Grandmaster Lin. Some other people also supported him. There are not just a few forces around the world interested in whether Grandmaster Lin and Lin Tian are the same person. Lin Tian smiled lightly and said, there are rumors on the internet that I am Grandmaster Lin, so you can treat me as Grandmaster Lin. I will try my best to live up to everyone's expectations and become a Grandmaster within 10 years, so that when that time comes, I can show my master what it means to be young and vigorous in martial arts. As soon as Lin Tian finished speaking, a flying sword shot over from afar at extreme speed. This flying sword was even faster than a bullet. Lin Tian dodged with all his strength. Bang! A loud noise rang out, and the flying sword pierced into the wall behind Lin Tian. This wall was not made of wood, but of alloy. Master, my handsome face was almost ruined by you. You can't be jealous just because I'm more handsome than you. Lin Tian shouted. Bang! Another flying sword shot into the alloy wall behind Lin Tian, just missing his body. Lin Tian naturally controlled the flying swords himself. He had a range of 500 meters and the flying swords had been prepared long ago. My most handsome master, I was wrong. Please don't throw any more hidden weapons, there are so many guests watching. It's fine if you hit me, but it would be bad if you hit any guests. Lin Tian shouted quickly. Finally, no more hidden weapons came. Lin Tian pulled the two flying swords out with all his strength. Everyone was secretly shocked. The flying swords had pierced in by at least 10 centimeters. There was no doubt that they could pierce through several people. Everyone, let's go inside and talk, it's dangerous out here. Anyone who doesn't want to participate in the auction can get off the ship now, the starship will set sail in 5 minutes for a stroll at sea. Lin Tian said with a light cough. Chapter 252, The Price of the Elixir of Immortality. The 10 or so people who had just expressed their dissatisfaction were silent. Lin Tian looked at the person who had spoken first. My master is usually not so hot-tempered. I was kind of implicated by you guys, and he didn't want to take it out on you, so the flying sword greeted me. My master is unlikely to step in, so do you want to get off the ship? The other party sneered. Lin. Shao, since Grandmaster Lin doesn't want to step in, we naturally won't force Grandmaster Lin. A person of high standing always acts in a special way. The others also spoke up one after the other. They were a little scared to disembark now. What if Grandmaster Lin's anger hadn't subsided and the flying sword greeted them? Lin Tian could avoid it, but they didn't have that ability. Captain Su, set sail. Lin Tian commanded. Yes, boss. Suze went to the wheelhouse, and the star slowly left the port, before gradually increasing its speed. The temperature was moderate now, and the sea breeze was quite pleasant. Everyone followed Lin Tian into the Star of the Sea, which had a luxurious hall that could accommodate many people. It was just that there were too many people this time. Seeing the chairs inside, many people were speechless. Inside the ultra-luxury yacht worth $300 million, there were actually many plastic stools, and these were the only stools that the billionaires could sit on. Everyone, let's overcome this. There's no way around it. There were a lot of people, and although the place was not small, there were not enough chairs to go around. Lin Tian coughed lightly. Shenlao smiled and said, Lin Tian, I know why Grandmaster Lin is not showing his face. He probably feels embarrassed. After all, we have spent millions of dollars on this. Lin Tian was helpless. Shenlao, I can't help it either. Let's hurry up and finish filming, and then everyone can disperse. Lin Tian said, and took out a small jade bottle from his pocket. Inside is an elixir of life. I was only going to auction off 3, but since you all have to squeeze in, my master gave me 4 elixirs of life in total. I'm sure you all know the effects of the elixir. It has no side effects, so don't worry about that. My parents already took one. Everyone looked at the small jade bottle in Lin Tian's hand with burning eyes. We'll start with the first one. Then the person who wins the auction will take the elixir, and tomorrow you'll see the results. Then we'll auction off the next 3. Lin Tian shouted. He spoke in Chinese, and there were quite a few people in the room who understood Chinese, and some of them translated his words into other languages. $500 million. Salman, the third prince of the Camel Kingdom, smiled and raised his hand. Lin Tian looked at Salman. He smiled and said, Prince Salman has already made an offer. If there is no higher bid, this pill will go to Prince Salman. The bid would increase by no less than $1 million each time. Soon after Lin Tian finished speaking, someone quickly raised the bid. 510 million. 520 million. Although they knew that the Camel Kingdom was rich, there were quite a few big shots present, and they would not let Salman get it easily. There were only 4 in total, and the competition was likely to become more intense as the bidding progressed. $600 million. Prince Salman said with a smile. 610 million. 700 million. While others increased their bids slowly, Salman increased his violently. He wanted to make a good impression on Lin Tian. This way, he might be able to buy more elixir of life in the future. Dog big shot. The guys from the Camel Kingdom are really fierce. When Salman once again raised the price to 800 million US dollars, all the other competitors gave up. They had money, but they had earned it the hard way, unlike the people from the Camel Kingdom, whose money just came out of the ground. Prince Salman, congratulations, Lin Tian said with a smile. He spoke in Arabic, with an authentic accent that surprised Salman. Lin, my dear friend, you actually speak Arabic, and you seem to speak it more standard than I do, Salman said joyfully. Lin Tian laughed and said, Prince Salman, is this pill for your own use or for your grandfather's use? My grandfather. He should be able to use it, right? Prince Salman asked. I can show him. If there is no major illness and it is simply due to aging, of course it can be used. Lin Tian walked up to Prince Salman's grandfather Fazd, who was in his 90s and looked very old. Mr. Fazd, please give me your hand. Lin Tian smiled. Fazd extended his hand. He said weakly, Lin, are you going to perform your miraculous Chinese medicine? I have seen it before, but I have never tried it myself. Mr. Fazd, I am taking your pulse. By taking your pulse, I can tell what kind of problem you have in your body. Lin Tian smiled. His hand rested on Fazl's wrist. He now possessed the ancient medical skills of a grandmaster, and soon he knew exactly what kind of problem Fazl had. Mr. Fazl, you have some problems with your body, but they are not serious. You can use this pill, Lin Tian said with a smile. Prince Salman asked, Lin, what kind of problem does my grandfather have? Can you elaborate? Yes. Lin Tian nodded. He spoke in detail, and Prince Salman's eyes gradually widened. Lin Tian had not made any mistakes in what he said. Moreover, some of the problems Lin Tian had mentioned had not been discovered by the instrument, but Fazda's examination was very comprehensive, and it was difficult to miss anything. Lin, you have only had so little time, but you have actually discovered so many problems. Your medical skills are really amazing, Prince Salman exclaimed in admiration. Lin, can you show me? Lin Tian smiled lightly and said, You bought my master's pills, so I'll take a look at you as well. Lin Tian quickly took Prince Salman's pulse. It didn't take long before Lin Tian's brows furrowed slightly. Lin, you look a little scary. What's wrong with me? Prince Salman said worriedly. Lin Tian let go of his hand and said, Prince Salman, you've been poisoned with a special poison. When it's not active, you'll be fine, but when it does, you'll die quickly. Prince Salman's face changed drastically. The Camel Kingdom has good relations with our country, but some people may not be happy about it, and some may want to frame my master, Lin Tian said in a low voice. Prince Salman said nervously, Lin, what should we do now? Can you cure this poison? Many other people also looked nervously at Lin Tian. Don't worry too much, I can cure the poison. I'll first see if the rest of the people have the same problem, Lin Tian said. Immediately, many people came forward to ask Lin Tian to help them. Lin Tian successively examined more than 10 people. He did not find any more cases like this. Prince Salman, the rest of the people do not have this problem, I will now treat you to expel the toxins. Soon Lin Tian gave Salman some silver needles. Then with the aid of his internal strength, black toxic blood came out of the needle holes one after another. Prince Salman, most of the toxins in your body have been discharged, and the remaining toxins will no longer be fatal. I will prescribe some medicine for you to take. Lin Tian smiled. Salman nodded, Lin, thank you, thank you. Mr. Lin Tian, can you also look at the rest of us? Maybe some of us are also poisoned, someone said worriedly. Chapter 253, Pick the biggest one to fight. Lin Tian glanced around. There were so many people, and if he checked each one's pulse, it would take 2 or 3 hours. Everyone, I will take your pulse, and I will know all the secrets of your body. This is not good. I will prepare a potion later, you can squeeze a few drops of blood into it. If you are poisoned, the potion will react. Lin Tian smiled. He had found a good reason for his laziness. But after hearing him say this, many people nodded. Many people really did not want their physical problems to be known. Whether they were sick, what kind of illness they had, and how long they could live were secrets to some bigwigs. The exposure of these secrets could have a significant impact. Mr. Fazl, you can take the pill now. After taking the pill, you will feel warm and a little feverish, which is normal. Lin Tian smiled. Faisal looked at Salman. He was old and his judgment was not as good as that of a young man like Salman. Grandpa, Master Lin will never joke about his reputation, so you can rest assured and take it boldly. Prince Salman poured the pill for Faisal. Faisal quickly took the pill. Lin Tian smiled and said, after taking the pill, normal activities will not be affected, but since you are old, Mr. Faisal, it would be better if you rest in bed. There is a bed in the room upstairs, and there are also various testing instruments. Faisal was quickly placed in a spacious room, which was the medical room on the cruise ship. Drip. It wasn't long before Faisal was hooked up to various monitoring equipment, with blood pressure, heartbeat, and various other data clearly displayed. Lin, my grandfather can get out of bed and move around, right? Salman asked. Lin Tian nodded with a smile. Getting out of bed, eating, going to the toilet, etc., will not be affected in any way. That's good. Salman nodded. There was a pharmacy in the room next to the medical room. After a few minutes, Lin Tian prepared a test drug. He used internal strength to envelop the drug, which quickly turned into powder. The powder was mixed with water, and half a basin of test solution was prepared. Lin Tian divided this half basin of solution into 10 parts. Everyone, you drop your blood into this, and if you have been poisoned by the same poison, the solution will react. Prince Salman, you try first. Lin Tian said, handing a small bowl to Prince Salman. Prince Salman pierced his finger with a needle and squeezed a drop of blood into the liquid in the small bowl. Gee! It was as if cold water had been poured into a hot pan. The reaction of the blood drop was quite significant. Everyone, if you are poisoned with the same poison, and you drop your blood into this, it will also react. Lin Tian smiled. Someone said, Mr. Lin, what if we are not poisoned with the same poison, but with the rest? Lin Tian looked at the other person and smiled slightly. We have an old saying in China, life and death are predestined, wealth and honor are in the heavens. I have discovered this poison, so naturally I cannot ignore it. As for the rest, I cannot care about it so much. The people around him. Don't worry, if something happens to you on the starship, my master will definitely investigate it thoroughly. Lin Tian smiled. What if you can't find out? Someone asked. Lin Tian looked at the person and said, that's easy. In the past, China's missile technology was not as good as it is now, and in the case of interference, the missile would hit the biggest one. My master is also like this. If he can't find the enemy, he will pick the biggest enemy to retaliate against. Some people around were from the United States, and among them was Barfoot. When he heard Lin Tian say this, he twitched his mouth. He knew about the submarine incident the other day, and he also knew about the 16 people who jumped to their deaths from Tianhe security. There happened to be 16 deaths on that submarine from the United States. Coincidence? Salman laughed and said, Lin, your country's style of picking the biggest to fight contains your ancient wisdom. Lin Tian smiled and said, Prince Salman, I feel the same way. My master said that as long as he picks the biggest fight, there will be fewer people who dare to do so. After all, a certain major power has very strong intelligence capabilities, and many small countries and powers listen to him. Even if they are not afraid of being found out by my master, they have to worry about being found out by a major power, don't they? The people around them. That's a good point. Everyone was dripping with blood. It didn't take long for everyone to be tested, and they didn't have the same poison as Salman. Prince Salman, this poison of yours may not necessarily be aimed at discrediting my master, do you understand? Lin Tian said to Prince Salman. I understand. I have already arranged to investigate. Prince Salman said in a deep voice. He is not stupid. He has enemies and rivals. Perhaps they are taking advantage of the situation to try to take his life. I will prescribe you a pair of medicine. Lin Tian quickly prescribed a pair of pills for Salman, and Salman, as a wealthy and technologically savvy patron, had to be protected. Although he didn't lack petty cash, he might lack big money in the future. The Camel Kingdom was nothing else but a lot of money. Time passed quickly, and it was the next day. Lin Tian was very laid back, drinking tea and fishing with some super rich people, while Luo Hongchuan was busy as hell. Everyone there knew very well that only 4 immortality pills would be auctioned in total, and in the future, in addition to money, one would also need connections to get one. How do you get connections? Lin Tian and Luo Hongchuan have them, which means they have already made it clear that all you need to do is strengthen cooperation with the Luo family. In one day, Luo Hongchuan negotiated many collaborations. Short of orders and supplies? With orders pouring in from all the big shots, these are not problems. The order from the simple camel state alone is no small amount. Everyone, the test results are in. My grandfather's bodily functions have probably returned to the state they were in a year and a half ago. Salman came out of the medical room happily. Fazil soon walked out of the room on his own, without the support he had needed before. He looked much better. Fazil had actually been in good health 6 months ago, but his condition had rapidly deteriorated in the past 6 months. Mr. Fazil, congratulations. You usually take a lot of tonics, and the pill will also stimulate some of the effects of the tonics you take. Your condition can get better next, and this pill can probably extend your life by about 2 years. Lin Tian smiled and said. Fast was overjoyed and said, what if I take another one next year? The effect of taking another one will diminish, and it is estimated that it can only extend your life by more than half a year, Lin Tian said. Faz nodded, more than half a year is also pretty good, his children and grandchildren will be rich and there is no need to leave them an inheritance. He himself can spend all the billions of US dollars without any problem. Lin, shall we start auctioning the remaining 3 pills? Prince Salman asked. Everyone looked at Lin Tian. Lin Tian laughed lightly and said, everyone, you all know the effects of the pills, so let's auction off the second pill now. 1 billion. Salman raised his hand. He wanted to get the second pill, and at the same time, his high price was also a way to thank Lin Tian. If Lin Tian hadn't discovered that he was poisoned, he would definitely have died. As for Lin Tian poisoning himself and then finding out that he was poisoned, Salman didn't think so. Lin Tian wouldn't do that. Chapter 254, the auction amount for the pill. Salman, you've already bought one, and the effect of the second one will be much lower, so what are you fighting us for? A super rich man dissatisfied with the ground said. He is not particularly old at the age of 70 or 80, but at this age, the function of the body has also decreased a lot. Of course he also wants to buy a pill of immortality. Salman smiled and said, Sir William, fair competition, who would not want more pills like the pill of immortality? Sir William said, but Grandmaster Lin has requested that the elixir can only be used on the spot and cannot be taken away. And it's enough to take one a year. Salman was surprised and said, Sir William, my grandfather and I make 2 people, right? Sir William. He frowned and said, Salman, you are only in your 30s, you are still young, what do you need the elixir for? Salman said, don't you need to start maintaining your health when you are young? Lin, what will happen if I take one? Every year? Lin Tian smiled slightly. If you take one every year, your appearance and energy will not be much worse than today when you are 50. Your overall lifespan can be extended by nearly 20 years. Salman's eyes lit up. Don't get too excited, you can't afford to take it like this. Lin Tian laughed lightly. Salman asked, Lin, if I buy it for a long time, what is the approximate price of the longevity pill? The rest of the people stared at Lin Tian. Lin Tian said, this is the first time the elixir of longevity has been auctioned. You can participate by paying $1 million for an admission ticket. In the future, it will be by invitation only, and no more than 50 invitations will be issued each time. An invitation is good for 2 people. So in the future, there will be no more than 100 people at most, and the starship won't be so crowded when we come back then. Many people frowned secretly. There were only 50 invitations, so you had to maintain good relationships. If your connections weren't good enough, you wouldn't even have a way to spend the money. The number of immortality pills being auctioned will increase, and the number of participants will decrease. In the future, the price of immortality pills will decrease somewhat. Lin Tian said with a smile. He can now refine dozens of rejuvenation pills a day, but if he wants to sell them at a high price, of course he has to say that they are very rare. Mr. Lin, will the starting price still be 100 million in the future? Someone asked. Lin Tian nodded, if there are no major changes in prices, the starting price of immortality pills should not change much. Prince Salman laughed, then the auction price in the future may be between 200 million and 400 million. If it's 300 million each, that's 60 billion in 20 years. I really can't afford it with only 3 billion in assets. Looks like I'll have to work hard to make money in the future. Lin Tian smiled faintly, Prince Salman, do you need to requote? You can withdraw your previous offer. Lin, how can you withdraw it? Besides, this time it's not me who's paying. I'll just ask my father for reimbursement when I get back. Prince Salman laughed. He wasn't just buying the pill, he was buying a favor. After spending the money, the Camel Kingdom would be able to get a few more invitations. Although the princes and kings of the Camel Kingdom were rich, they were not stupid. Back then, they seemed to have suffered a loss when they bought the Dongfeng pill for $100 million, but they had gained decades of peace. When there was unrest in the surrounding areas, they could simply pull out those weapons of mass destruction and the situation would quickly stabilize. Everyone, is there any more price increases? Lin Tian smiled. $1 billion each, and next year they might be able to buy them for 300 to 400 million, so why would anyone else raise the price? Prince Salman, the second pill of immortality is yours. Lin Tian laughed. Salman quickly took the pill. 10 minutes later, the third and fourth pills found their owners. They were not as expensive, selling for 560 million and 620 million respectively. The total price of the 4 pills was nearly $3 billion. This is very, very exaggerated. But it is very normal to sell at such a price. Life is priceless. Next year, perhaps the price of the pills will be lower, but some people can't wait until next year, or they can make more money if they buy them. The fourth pill was bought by Buffet. He has tens of billions of dollars in assets himself, and he also controls a huge amount of money. Spending a few $100 million to extend his life and improve his energy is well worth it. Mr. Lin, are you not going to have any this year? 4 pills are really too few. Why not auction off a few more? Someone said with reluctance. Some of them regretted that if they had bid more, they might have been able to buy one and not have to wait until next year. Many of them were relatively old. Lin Tian smiled lightly and said, "Everyone, the elixir of life was given to me by my master, and he only gave me 4 pills. If you want the elixir of life, you'll have to wait until next year. Next year, I'll try to get my master to auction off 20 pills." Everyone was disappointed. But Grandmaster Lin took out the elixir, and Grandmaster Lin only took out 4 pills, so there was nothing they could do. Everyone, Prince Salman and the others have just taken the pills, and the effects won't be seen until tomorrow. Everyone, enjoy the beautiful scenery and the delicious food. Lin Tian said with a smile. The auction for the pills was over, but it was not time to return home yet. Luo Hongchuan needed to give the others time to discuss cooperation. Yesterday, some people only signed tentative orders. Today, Luo Hongchuan could negotiate more cooperation with them. The rest of the people didn't rush to leave either. With so many super rich people gathered together, this was a rare opportunity for them to talk about cooperation with each other as well. DD. Luo Bingning called Lin Tian on video. "Hubby, the patent review has been approved. The factory is rushing to produce, and Hongyan will be on the market for sale soon." Luo Bingning said happily. Normally, the patent review and market approval for a new cosmetic product would not be that fast, but Lin Tian had spoken to the authorities, so the process had naturally been sped up. "Bingning, I assume some production has already started? You can find a helicopter to send over a batch of the high-end series," Lin Tian said with a smile. He was in a very good mood. When she had first started out, Luo Bingning had been like a golden treasure chest, and now she had become a legendary treasure chest. He wondered what would be inside this time. This legendary treasure chest was her third child. The first was imperial swordsmanship, the second was sword eyes, and the third was probably still related to swords, Lin Tian guessed. The country now advocates having a third child, as long as there is a third child. Lin Tian thought to himself. He had to hurry and figure out the ancient divine-level medical arts. "Hubby, I'll arrange it right away." Luo Bingning's eyes lit up. 2 hours later, a helicopter landed on the starship and left after unloading a few large boxes. "Lin, what's in here?" Salman asked. He and Lin Tian hit it off quite well. "You'll find out soon enough." Lin Tian laughed lightly. He opened one of the boxes, and inside were 100 bottles of high-end cosmetics from the Red Beauty series, packaged very beautifully. "Everyone, you've come a long way. The cosmetics from Bingning's company have just come out, and I'll give you 1 bottle each," Lin Tian said with a smile. Many of the people around him looked disappointed. They weren't lacking in cosmetics. "The formula for this cosmetic product was given to me by my master. And it was obtained by simplifying the elixir of immortality." After Lin Tian finished speaking, everyone's eyes lit up. Chapter 255, Explosive Orders for the Beauty Elixir. Mr. Lin, can you live forever by using this? Someone asked urgently. Lin Tian shook his head. How is that possible? This is just cosmetics, and it doesn't use those rare raw materials either. Long-term use of it will make people look a few years younger, but only the skin on the face will look a few years younger, not the whole person. A young woman giggled. Lin Xiao, this should be skin care product, not cosmetics. Lin Tian shook his head. Red Beauty is a corrective cosmetic product that provides a makeup effect and also has the ability to care for the skin. When I said a few years younger, it is the real age that the skin looks younger without the use of makeup. How much younger it looks with makeup depends on the individual. There were quite a few women present, and when they heard Lin Tian say this, they looked at him in surprise. It is very good that skin care and makeup can be solved together. There are similar products on the market at present, but the effect is very average. If Red Beauty has a strong effect, it will be liked by countless people. Many people have to rush to work in the morning, so they don't have time to take care of their skin before applying makeup. It's too much of a hassle. When they come home in the evening, they may be very tired, and many women don't have the energy to spend time and effort on skin care after removing their makeup. Mr. Lin, how much younger can I actually look? Another woman asked hopefully. Lin Tian said, there are 3 series of rouge, high, medium and low. These are the high-end products, and if you use them for a long time, you can look 7 or 8 years younger. This long term is more than 1 year. The mid-range series can make you look 5 or 6 years younger, and the low-end system can make you look 3 or 4 years younger. Many of the women present were amazed. If you use it continuously for more than a year, you can look 7 or 8 years younger without makeup. Even if it just makes your face look younger, that's fine. Mr. Lin, can this cosmetic product only be used on the face? Can it be used on the rest of the body? The one speaking was a middle-aged woman. Lin Tian, who had come up with the formula, knew exactly what the effect would be and said, you can use it, but I don't recommend it. Why? The middle-aged woman asked. Lin Tian explained, there is no doubt that there are some differences between the skin on the face and the rest of the body. The effect will be poorer if used on the rest of the body. Moreover, the Red Beauty high-end series is not cheap. A bottle costs $10,000, and a bottle will last 2 to 3 months under normal use. The middle-aged woman was relieved. She laughed and said, Mr. Lin, when you said it wasn't cheap, I thought it would cost hundreds of thousands of US dollars a bottle. $10,000 is pretty cheap. Mr. Lin, is it really that effective? Lin Tian said, anyway, the effect is what my master said. If he said it's okay, then there shouldn't be a problem. But there are definitely going to be slight differences for specific individuals. Some people will have stronger results, while others will have weaker results. Prince Salman coughed lightly. Lin, on behalf of the men here, I have to ask, can men use it too? Lin Tian said in surprise, what makeup for men? Lin, after using it for a year, you can look 7 or 8 years younger. This effect is also very attractive to men. By the way, is it troublesome to use this? Salman asked. Lin Tian, it is possible for men to use it, and it is very simple to use. It is the same as using Dabao or Yume. What? Salman was puzzled. Dabao and Yume. Lin Tian repeated it in Chinese, and you can look it up when the time comes. Some of the super rich Chinese people present laughed. Even if they were super rich, they had used these 2 products. Most of them started from scratch. Lin, you only have a few hundred bottles here, so we can each get one, right? I want to buy some to take back with me. Salman said. Lin Tian shook his head, the patent has just come down, there's no stock. Lin, I'll order 100,000 bottles, so you guys hurry up and produce them. Once they're produced, I'll have someone come and take them away. Lin Tian was stunned. 100,000 bottles? Salman nodded, yes, 100,000 bottles. Lin, this is a good product, so act fast before it's too late. Mr. Lin, I would like to order 10,000 bottles. Mr. Lin, can I have 3,000 bottles? Salman's words woke up the rest of the people, and they spoke up one after another. Salman alone wanted 100,000 bottles. Even if the product was launched, the problem would be when could people buy it. Lin Tian said, Prince Salman, you haven't even used the product yet, aren't you afraid that I'm cheating you? Salman laughed lightly and said, that's not the case. Your and Master Lin's reputation is much more important than this amount of money. Lin, I was the first to place an order. Lin Tian nodded. Wait a moment, I'll get a pen and paper to make a note. Lin Tian was busy with this for the next hour, and most of them placed orders. The smallest order was 1,000 bottles, and the largest was 100,000 bottles directly ordered by Salman. Many people ordered 10,000 bottles. They and their families could not use so many bottles, but spending this kind of money could strengthen their relationship. When sending out invitations in the future, wouldn't they be given priority? Moreover, they estimated that rouge would definitely become popular, and it would be difficult to buy by then, so it would be good to give it away as a gift. No matter what, they won't lose money by spending this money. Everyone, orders will be shipped in the order they are received. Currently, production capacity is insufficient, so those at the back of the queue may have to wait. Lin Tian smiled. He was in a great mood. The order volume had reached an astonishing 1 million bottles, with an order value of $10 billion. The total sales price of the rejuvenating elixir was only close to $3 billion, and the order value of Hongyan was much more than $3 billion. A huge chunk of the high-end cosmetics market had been directly taken. Lin Xiao, how long will the next orders take? Someone asked. Lin Tian thought for a moment and said, the market still needs to be supplied with some products, and the mid to low-end series also need to be produced. I estimate that the next order will not be for at least half a year. Sigh. Some people sighed inwardly. They glanced at Salman. Salman is a big spender, but he has a good eye. Spending $1 billion might bring them a lot of benefits. Salman smiled. In the blink of an eye, it was the next morning, and the starship was approaching the port. Wow! A woman looks in the mirror in surprise after washing her face in the morning. She used beauty sleep last night, and the effect is already obvious after just one night, with her skin condition improving a lot. Surely, what's wrong? The other women in the room wake up. There are too many people in the room, and there are multiple people sleeping in one room. Beauty sleep is so effective. You should come and take a look too. Shirley says excitedly. The other women quickly wash their faces too, and they also find that their skin condition has improved significantly compared to before. This effect is too strong. $10,000 a bottle, a conscience price. Several people discussed it. They were all extremely wealthy, and the cosmetics they normally used were much more expensive, but the effect was much worse than that of the Red Beauty. Soon the rest of the people on the ship also got the news. Lin, do you think I'd become more handsome? Prince Salman asked. Lin Tian. Chapter 256, A Simple Wish. The starship finally returned. I wonder who got the elixir. Everyone had a photo when they boarded, so perhaps it could be determined by comparing them when they boarded and when they returned. At the yacht marina, many people gathered and chattered. When Lin Tian and the others arrived, there were only reporters, but now that they were returning, many ordinary people had gathered here as well. Click, click. Before the starship had even docked, many reporters kept taking photos, and even more ordinary people were taking photos with their phones. Everyone, thank you for attending this Changshengdan auction. The ship is small and the people are many, which is a nuisance to everyone. Next year's second auction will definitely be much more comfortable. Lin Tian said with a smile. A super rich person joked, Mr. Lin, actually this time was quite good, if there were fewer people, I would not have been qualified to come. That's right, Lin Xiao, why don't you consider not changing the current format and continue like this next year? Another person said. Lin Tian shook his head, we can't do it this way next year. I didn't sleep for 2 days and 2 nights during this auction. Next year, for the Immortality Pill auction, we will issue a maximum of 50 invitations, with a maximum of 2 people per invitation. Many people felt a little disappointed. This time, there were a total of 100 or so invitations, and more than 300 guests came. Next year, at least 2/3 of them will not be eligible to come to the auction again. Even if they don't buy anything, it's still very nice to come to an auction like this and chat with the other bigwigs. Click, click. The guests began to leave the starship. The reporters kept taking pictures. King Fazide, who had been helped onto the ship, actually walked off the ship by himself, looking very energetic. Old Man Baffett was in a good mood, and he looked a lot younger, as if he had made a good deal. The women looked younger too. What's going on? There aren't enough elixirs for them to buy, are there? Many people whispered to each other. Lin Tian saw everyone off the ship, with Salman walking at the back. Lin, you must visit our country sometime, I'll be your tour guide. Salmon, there will be such an opportunity. Lin Tian smiled. The group of super rich people left one after another. Lin Tian let out a sigh of relief. Holding such an auction was no easy task, and any problems would have a significant negative impact. But despite the fatigue, the auction had been very fruitful. The 4 rejuvenation pills sold for nearly 3 billion, and the Red Beauty order was 10 billion US dollars. The Luo family also won many orders. Boom! The engine roared as Lin Tian and Luo Hongchuan also left. Lin Tian, do you know how many orders I have signed in total? The Luo family will not worry about orders for the next 2 years. Luo Hongchuan said excitedly. He and Lin Tian were each busy, and he was not sure how many orders Lin Tian had signed. Lin Tian also did not know Luo Hongchuan's situation. How much? Lin Tian asked. Luo Hongchuan smiled and said, the order amounts for various products are in the hundreds of billions, and the profit should exceed tens of billions. Hundreds of billions of US dollars? Lin Tian said in surprise. Luo Hongchuan. Of course it's hundreds of billions of RMB. Hundreds of billions of US dollars is an order that the Luo family companies simply cannot handle. How about your company with Bingning? Lin Tian laughed lightly and said, there are not as many orders as those signed by you, the uncle, and there are only more than 70 billion renminbi. However, the estimated profit is more than 40 billion. Luo Hongchuan. His orders are worth 100 billion yuan, and the profit is more than 10 billion yuan. Lin Tian and Luo Bingning's company is a startup, and their orders are worth more than 70 billion yuan, and the profit is a terrifying 40 billion yuan. You can't compare apples to oranges. Lin Tian, how long will it take to produce those orders? Luo Hongchuan asked. Lin Tian laughed, if we only produce these, it will take 3 months, but there are also mid to low-end products to be produced, so I estimate that it will take 6 months to deliver everything. Luo Hongchuan didn't want to say anything. His 100 billion is a 2-year order, and the profit for 2 years is 100 billion. Lin Tian and the others' profit for 3 months is tens of billions. Luckily, the company is yours and Bingning's, otherwise if I heard someone say that, I would be in a bad mood. Luo Hongchuan glanced at Lin Tian and said. He wanted his daughter to find a good son-in-law, and now Luo Bingning has found one, but this son-in-law is a bit too strong. His own strength, talent, and ability to make money are all terrifying. This makes Luo Hongchuan feel uneasy. Lin Tian is so capable, and if he finds another woman, what will happen to Luo Bingning then? Will they stay together or not? There are many rich men with mistresses or even multiple mistresses, and Luo Hongchuan is a rich man himself, so this kind of thing is commonplace in his circle. Lin Tian, what are your plans for the future? Luo Hongchuan asked tentatively. Lin Tian smiled, in the past, I shared the same thoughts as many netizens. A simple life is good enough. A thatched cottage, a good acre of farmland, and a savings of 100 million. Luo Hongchuan looked a little strange. It really is a simple pursuit. Now my expectations for the future have 4 more words, invincible in the world. Lin Tian said, exuding a powerful aura from his body. Luo Hongchuan has seen many big scenes and big personalities, but the aura exuded by Lin Tian still made his whole body tense. Invincible in the world. Luo Hongchuan muttered to himself. Although these 4 words are simple, it is not so easy to achieve. He knew that Lin Tian was already a martial arts grandmaster, and that his personal strength might have made him the world's number 1. But was that enough to be invincible? No. Not only was he not invincible, but he also had many enemies. To be invincible, a martial arts grandmaster wasn't enough. Lin Tian's current power and prestige were also far from enough. Uncle, I'm still young. I still have plenty of time to fulfill this wish. Lin Tian said with a smile, and in the short term, curing Bingying is my most important wish. Luo Hongchuan glanced at Lin Tian. Lin Tian, the Blood Clan and Lizard demi-humans are all enemies. Perhaps you need a powerful ally. Having a child with Kalina and the others would be of great help to you. Lin Tian said with a strange expression, Uncle, do you have someone on the outside? Then I need to have a good talk with Auntie. Cough cough. Luo Hongchuan coughed twice, nothing happened. I mean you are the only woman in my life. Uncle, don't worry. I don't have those kind of thoughts. Lin Tian smiled faintly, knowing what Luo Hongchuan was worried about. Luo Hongchuan said with a slight embarrassment, forget it, you and Bingning should handle this kind of thing yourself. The car returned to the villa, and Lin Tian met Luo Bingning. Neither of her parents, Luo Bingning's mother, was there. Lin Tian, I'll borrow your car for a while. Don't forget who to invite to the engagement banquet the day after tomorrow. Luo Hongchuan drove away. The engagement venue was not at this villa but somewhere else. Lin Tian didn't even know the exact location. Honey, how did everyone respond to the beauty? With so many super rich people, was anyone interested? Did you sell 10,000 bottles? Luo Bingying asked with some trepidation. Lin Tian smiled and said, be bold and take a guess. Chapter 257, Advanced Version of Imperial Sword Technique. 50,000 bottles? Luo Bingning asked hopefully. Lin Tian glanced at the legendary treasure chest on Luo Bingning's head and said, I have to collect this first, otherwise I'll get a fourth child. Give me a kiss and I'll tell you. Lin Tian said with a smile. Honey, let's go in first. Luo Bingning took Lin Tian into the villa, and then she took the initiative to throw herself into his arms and gave him a kiss. Ding, the legendary treasure chest has been opened. Congratulations, Master, you have obtained the advanced sword technique of 10,000 swords returned to the root. Lin Tian touched the legendary treasure chest. The voice of the system sounded in his head. At the same time, a massive amount of information flooded in, as did a lot of energy that enhanced Lin Tian's mental strength. Lin Tian's head was very swollen, but since he had obtained quite a few legendary treasure chests, he could barely hold on. After half a minute of kissing, the two parted. Honey, what's wrong? Luo Bingning asked with puzzlement. Lin Tian's expression was a little strange. Lin Tian rubbed his forehead, it was a bit of a headache. I didn't sleep much the other night, and I haven't slept at all these past 2 days. There's an order for 1,000,000 bottles. I'm going to go upstairs and take a nap, you arrange for the factory to hurry up and produce. Luo Bingning said with concern, then you go to sleep quickly, honey. Lin Tian went upstairs. Luo Bingning couldn't believe it, did my husband just say 1,000,000 bottles? $10,000 a bottle, that's $10 billion. She was shocked. A treasure chest appeared above her head, and it wasn't a black iron treasure chest, it was a silver treasure chest. She knew exactly how much profit there was in each bottle. The cost of raw materials, labor, etc. was very low, and the cost of taxes was the highest of the $10 billion. After deducting everything, the net profit was at least $6 billion. How many companies in the whole of China could have an annual net profit of this much? Moreover, this was just the current order. Hong Yen had not yet been officially sold. The auction of the Red Beauty face cream actually directly boosted sales of the product. Luo Bingning was overjoyed. Red Beauty could now be sold, but Luo Bingning was still unsure about sales. It was not easy for a new brand to be recognized by others. Lin Tian's decision to give Red Beauty to Salman Khan and his friends was a stroke of genius. Salman Khan and his friends recognized Grandmaster Lin, and naturally they would also highly recognize Red Beauty, for which Grandmaster Lin had provided the formula. Red Beauty also had very strong effects. They are all big shots, and with their approval, the new cosmetics brand, Hong Yen, is established. The order of $10 billion is better than any advertisement. No wonder her husband wanted those guys to withdraw their shares. They must be crazy knowing the current situation of the company. Luo Bingying muttered to herself. There are now only 2 shareholders in the company, Luo Bingying and Lin Tian, each holding 50% of the company's shares. Lin Tian had wanted all the shares to be in Luo Bingning's name, while Luo Bingning had insisted on only 10%. After half a day of arguing, they settled on 50-50. They were married, so there were no problems with equal shares, and even if they divorced, legally they would each get half. If the previous shareholders had not been able to agree to this, Lin Tian would have provided the capital and also invested in the company with his technology, which would have diluted the shares of the original shareholders. But even so, they would have made a lot of money. Director Liang, 70% of the factory's production capacity will be used to produce the Hong Yen high-end series in the coming period. In addition, more workers will be recruited to work 2 shifts. Luo Bingning made a phone call. Some domestic cosmetics companies use contract manufacturers, but she has long since bought a relatively large factory. Chairman, the Hong Yen high-end series may not sell so well, and this will result in a lot of product backlogs. In addition, it is not easy to recruit that many people. Factory Director Liang Jingsheng reminded Luo Bingying. Luo Bingying said, Director Liang, don't worry about the orders. The company has already received large orders. As long as you pay enough, there's no shortage of people to hire. Raise all employees' salaries by 50% from the original level. Lian Jingsheng was stunned on the other end of the phone. After Luo Bingying bought the factory, she had already raised all employees' salaries by more than 20% to stabilize morale, which was not low compared to her peers. Another 50%? Are you sure, Chairman? 50% for existing employees and new employees alike? Lian Jingsheng asked in surprise. Luo Bingying smiled and said, "That's right. If you do a good job, you'll also get a 50% raise and a bonus." Phew! Lin Tian let out a sigh of relief in the room. After 10 minutes, he felt much more relaxed. He also figured out the effect of this legendary treasure chest. With the original Imperial sword technique, he could only control one flying sword, but now he could control up to 5 or 6 flying swords at the same time. When facing a large number of enemies, the efficiency of killing enemies will be greatly improved. If the enemies charge from all directions, controlling multiple swords at the same time, he can also defend against multiple directions at the same time. It is said that the 10,000 swords return to the same master, but in reality, controlling tens of thousands of swords at the same time requires a level of cultivation that he is far from having. Just listen to this. Even if his martial arts cultivation is upgraded to the god level, he can only control 30 to 50 swords at the same time, I guess. Of course, having so many is enough. With 30 to 50 flying swords with sword eyes, which are incredibly sharp and incredibly fast, the killing efficiency would be terrifying. Obtaining the skill of controlling thousands of swords, his mental strength has improved, and the effect of controlling a single flying sword alone has also improved. Lin Tian is overjoyed. Previously, the limit distance for controlling flying swords was 500 meters, and now the limit distance has been increased to about 800 meters. Previously, flying with a sword could only reach 3 to 5 kilometers, but now Lin Tian estimates that 7 to 8 kilometers should be no problem. This difference is still not small. In the past, if you were besieged by a large number of enemies, flying 3 to 5 kilometers might still be inside the enemy's encirclement. A distance of 7 to 8 kilometers would most likely get you out of it. Overall, Lin Tian was quite satisfied with this improvement. Drip! Lin Tian's phone suddenly rang. The caller ID showed Salman. "Salman, what else is there?" Connecting the call, Lin Tian asked in Arabic. Salman said, "Lin, I just found out that you are getting engaged the day after tomorrow. Aren't we friends? I'm sad that you're not inviting me to your engagement." Lin Tian laughed. "Salman, you were poisoned before, and I was thinking that you were in a hurry to go back and deal with this matter." "Lin, this has been found out. It was done by the rebels in our country, with the aim of provoking conflict between our country and China. One of my maids is their insider," said Salman. Lin Tian said in surprise, "Salman, your country is quite capable, figuring it out so quickly." Salman coughed lightly. "It was the intelligence organization of the United States that found out. They might be afraid that you will blame them for this." Lin Tian. "I see. The intelligence network of the United States is all over the world. They might have known about it a long time ago, they just didn't say anything before." "Lin, I want a drink at your engagement banquet. Where are you? I'll have someone send you an invitation." Chapter 258, Intelligence Analysis Results. A secret intelligence base in the United States. "Sir, the results are in." A man raised his hand and said, "Vincent, tell us the results of your calculations." Elton, the officer, asked as he approached. Vincent said, "Sir, we have analyzed the terrain, the surrounding buildings, and the trajectory of the hidden weapon. We judge that the hidden weapon should have been shot from here." Vincent said, pointing at the computer screen in front of him. "Transfer it to the big screen." Elton ordered. Soon the information was synchronized to the big screen, which made it much clearer. The location of the projectile's launch should be this place, about 450 meters in a straight line from the point of impact. We are not sure of the material of the projectile, but a few days ago, a military vehicle from the Hua state delivered it to Lin Tian's villa. We judge that the material of the projectile should be top-notch. The outer layer of the yacht's walls here is alloy, the middle layer is a composite material, and the innermost layer is solid wood. Elton frowned. "Just tell me the result." Vincent, "Sir, the computer analysis shows that the attack power of this weapon is 3 times that of an AK rifle." Elton's face twitched slightly. Sir, whoever used this weapon must be a grandmaster, and their strength is likely to have reached the level of grandmaster perfection. The conclusion is obvious: Grandmaster Lin and Lin Tian are not the same person. Or they are the same person, but there are still other top grandmasters in the Hua state hiding. Elton looked at Vincent and said, "How confident are you in the results you have given?" "Sir, the data does not lie." Vincent said seriously, "This is not metaphysics, it's science. It's the result of the computer combining various data." Eldon pondered, "Is it possible that Lin Tian is Grandmaster Lin, and that he controlled the hidden weapon to shoot at himself?" Vincent was stunned. "Sir, you're joking, right? If that's the case, it means that he could control that hidden weapon from several hundred meters away and achieve extremely powerful results. This is much more difficult than throwing a hidden weapon to achieve such power, and martial arts grandmasters shouldn't be able to do this either." Vincent coughed lightly and said. Eldon said, "Such a big difference?" Another person next to him said, "Sir, to shoot a hidden weapon directly with your hands, martial artists in the Huagua country can use the power of their bodies, and they can also use their internal strength to the full. Even if they can use their internal strength from hundreds of meters away, the efficiency will be very low, so it should not be possible." Eldon nodded slightly. "What if it is? We need to be prepared for the worst." Vincent said, "Sir, if that's really the case, it means that he can control hidden weapons to kill within a few hundred meters. Tanks, helicopters, etc., may malfunction if they get within a few hundred meters of him. He can turn our aircraft carrier into scrap metal without entering it." Elton's face changed. "Is it that terrifying?" Vincent nodded. "If he can control it from a few hundred meters away, he can easily destroy the electronics of our aircraft carrier. Of course, I don't think he's capable of doing that. Even if he is capable of doing that, he won't do it easily." Elton said, "Well done, boys, I'll give you a holiday, you can rest for 2 days." Soon Elton reported the intelligence. Several similar intelligence reports were placed on the desk of the US president. It seems that everyone agrees that Lin Tian is not Grandmaster Lin. In that case, who Grandmaster Lin is must be found out. "General Mike, you have worked hard," the US president said sternly. "President, I will find him out." General Mike nodded. The US intelligence agency analyzed the results, and the intelligence agencies of other countries came up with similar results. In their view, it was absolutely impossible for Lin Tian to control the hidden weapon fired a few hundred meters away by himself. Lin Tian must have a master. They could not take any action without figuring out who Grandmaster Lin Tian was. "Honey, how are you feeling?" Lin Tian came out after sleeping for 2 hours. Luo Bingying had finished preparing lunch and said with some concern when she saw him, "I'm fine. I've fully recovered after sleeping for 2 hours." Lin Tian said with a smile. Luo Bingying let out a sigh of relief. "Honey, Dad called me and said that the 30 billion yuan you invested only used 15 billion yuan, and the remaining 15 billion yuan is not needed. He has received a lot of orders, and the advance payments have already made the company's working capital abundant." Lin Tian said, "Don't transfer the money to me, use that money to expand the scale, I still have a lot of money on my card." After transferring out the 30 billion yuan, he still had more than 10 billion yuan left on his card. The 4 pills sold for nearly $3 billion, and this money was on his card, totaling more than 30 billion yuan. Luo Bingning nodded. "It's not good to have too much capital on hand without converting it into assets. High-quality assets can not only withstand inflation but also increase in value." Luo Hongchuan purchased assets, and those assets were in Lin Tian's name. "Honey, Hongyan will be listed for sale soon and will generate huge profits. What should we do with the money then?" Luo Bingning asked while eating. According to Luo Bingning's estimate, the sales in half a year will be $15 billion, and the profit will be $9 billion. Such a huge amount of money has to have an outlet. Even if you buy a new factory to expand the scale, how much can it cost? Huayin. Lin Tian smiled faintly. Luo Bingning was stunned. "Husband, do you want a part of Huayin's equity?" However, Huayin is state-controlled, and the part of the shares released has long been divided up. P.S. Blue Star's different world do not correspond to reality. Lin Tian said, "The state controls 60% of the shares of Huayin, and it has released 40%. It's fine if the state releases a little more. The state might be happy to have me as a shareholder." Luo Bingying nodded slightly. "Honey, you want to have a say in public opinion? Huayin is a powerful public opinion machine. Lin Tian laughed. Having a say in public opinion is a powerful weapon, and Western countries are much stronger than us in this regard. Huayin has been sanctioned in many countries, and I'm going to see what other sanctions they want to impose after I join. Luo Bingning thought for a moment. Husband, if we want to invest in Huayin, our current funds are still a bit lacking. Huayin's latest valuation is around 2,600 billion, and 5% of the shares would cost 130 billion renminbi. Lin Tian smiled. We shouldn't need that much money. I'll invest with capital and technology. I've provided a lot of technology to the top. Data on the 5th generation and a half stealth fighter, data on the 6th generation stealth fighter, data on the 5th generation and a half strategic bomber. How much is this worth to the country? He wanted to buy a stake in Huayin. The country could not possibly not consider these things, nor the benefits of his joining. Don't think about it so much. I'm not going to buy a stake in Huayin right away. Let's wait until Hongyan goes public and make some more money. Lin Tian smiled. When Luo Bingning talked about the valuation of Huayin, he felt like he was poor again. His money was not even enough to buy 5% of Huayin's shares. Money is a long way off. Chapter 259 Bingning, you make your husband prosperous. Drip. The next day, Lin Tian's phone rang, and it was the second elder calling. Second elder, what good news is it? Lin Tian answered the phone with a smile. It's not good news. Lin Xiao, I'm calling to criticize you. Does my engagement lack a cup of wine or a bite of rice? The second elder said angrily. Lin Tian coughed lightly. Elder, you have so much on your plate, I dare not disturb you with this engagement. I was planning to invite you when the wedding happens. The elder said, I should be able to come tomorrow, as I don't have anything too important to do. The elder is away on a state visit, and he asked me to go as a representative. The elder said he'll definitely be there when you get married. Lin Tian laughed and said, Elder, I'll be waiting for your visit. Let's meet and chat tomorrow. The elder hung up the phone. Next, Lin Tian received several more phone calls, all wanting to attend the engagement banquet tomorrow. Lin Tian basically politely declined. Some of those super rich people from abroad had not yet left, and their attendance at the engagement banquet might not be well intentioned. Perhaps they had been instructed to find out who Grandmaster Lin was and to attend the engagement banquet so that nothing would go wrong and affect the engagement banquet. In the evening, Lin Tian's parents and Luo Bingning's parents all returned to the villa. Parents, uncles and aunts, there is a small situation. 2 more important guests will be added tomorrow. One is the prince of the Camel Kingdom, and the other is the second elder. Lin Tian smiled. Lin Haishang, Lin Tian's father, slightly changed his expression. Son, one of them is a foreign guest and the other is a leader. How can we receive such figures? How can we solve the security problem? Lin Tian laughed lightly. Dad, don't worry too much. If the second elder is coming, someone will definitely come in advance to ensure safety. They can handle the usual threats, and as for very powerful threats, if they happen, I will handle them. There shouldn't be any problems like that. The enemy also knows that tomorrow is the day of my engagement, and messing with things on such a day is not something that money can solve. Lin Haishang let out a small sigh of relief. Lin Tian said, Dad, you haven't prepared any complicated processes, have you? The second elder said that he was free tomorrow, but in reality, someone like him probably doesn't have much free time. His secretary will probably have his time down to the minute. Lin Haishang shook his head. Lin Tian's mother Chenwan said, Your father originally wanted to invite some celebrities to perform some shows or something, but I don't think that's necessary. We're just dressing up a bit. Lu Hongchuan laughed. We feel that whatever we do is fine, as long as Lin Tian Bingying's relationship with them is good. Lin Tian and Lu Bingying glanced at each other. Lu Bingying's pretty face turned slightly red. In-laws, let's go play a few rounds of mahjong? Just follow your local rules, my husband and I have specially learned them. Lu Bingying's mother, Suyin, smiled. That's fine. Chenwan smiled. The 4 of them happily headed to the villa's mahjong room. Bingying, it seems that my parents and your parents get along well. It's good that they can find something to do when they get together, otherwise they can only stare at each other. Lin Tian said. Lu Bingying nodded and said in a weak voice, Honey, there's something I need to tell you. Go ahead. Luo Bingying said, Kalina and Yista want to attend tomorrow's engagement banquet, and I've agreed to let them. Kalina and Yista are still in the community, but the 5 women of Suana have already moved away from this community. It turned out that some of them felt that they still had some hope, because each of their families was very wealthy. Especially Suanna. But after this auction, they all knew that there was no longer any possibility for themselves and Lin Tian. The 4 immortality pills were auctioned off for nearly $3 billion US. That's fine, but the pills were created by Grandmaster Lin, so the money should belong to him. But what about Hong Yen? Hong Yen's order at the auction reached $10 billion US, and they estimated that the profit margin would definitely not be low. In the future, Lin Tian and Luo Bingning's company will definitely reap great benefits. Even the family behind Suanna is not to be trifled with. Karina and Yista are different from them. They are princesses, and their status and position are not comparable to Suanna and the others. In terms of appearance, they cannot compare to Luo Bingying, nor can they compare in terms of money or relationships. They can only choose to retreat despite the difficulties. Why did you promise them? Lin Tian asked in puzzlement. Luo Bingying was silent, and Lin Tian pinched her cheek. Wife, you're not really considering what they said, are you? Don't listen to their nonsense. I will have no problem cooperating with the Kingdom of Vander and the Kingdom of Ridian in the future, but having children with them is absolutely impossible. Luo Bingying whispered, honey, but the enemies you face are extremely strong, and Kalina and the others all have countries behind them. The help they can provide you is much greater than mine. Lin Tian looked at Luo Bingning. Luo Bingning's expression was a little unconfident. Bingning, even if they have countries behind them, the help you can bring me is definitely greater than theirs. Lin Tian smiled. Luo Bingning looked at Lin Tian doubtfully. She muttered, husband, but our Luo family cannot provide much help in terms of money. I am still sick. Lin Tian put his arm around Luo Bingying's waist. He gazed into her eyes and said, Bingying, no matter how many good qualities they have, there is one aspect in which they cannot compare to you. Luo Bingying's beautiful eyes were filled with doubt. In what way is she so superior? Lin Tian kissed Luo Bingying and said, my dear, you are a lucky charm for your husband, and this is something they can never match. Luo Bingying. She said coquettishly, husband, what kind of reason is that? Lin Tian said with a smile, don't you know that my feng shui is powerful? Being a husband booster is a great advantage. I have already become a martial grandmaster. Luo Bingning looked at Lin Tian in disbelief. Husband, you're a martial grandmaster? Lin Tian had told Luo Hongchuan about this secret, but Luo Bingning still didn't know about it. She only knew that Lin Tian was a grandmaster. I recently became a martial arts grandmaster, and I will be engaged tomorrow. I was thinking of telling you this secret tomorrow. Lin Tian smiled. Luo Bingning was extremely surprised. Lin Tian's strength would definitely increase a lot from martial arts grandmaster to martial arts grandmaster. Lin Tian glanced at the top of Luo Bingning's head. The silver treasure chest on her head had turned into a gold treasure chest. This secret brought Luo Bingning a lot of surprises. However, Luo Bingning knew that there were also disadvantages to him becoming a martial arts grandmaster. In the future, Luo Bingning would not worry too much about his safety. Without these worries, he would definitely get fewer treasure chests. Lin Tian had originally wanted to hide it for a while longer and collect more treasure chests, and it would be best to obtain the divine ancient medical technique first. Luo Bingning was self-doubting, so he had no choice but to speak up. Wife, ever since we got married, my improvement has not been just a little bit. Your ability to make your husband prosperous is a huge advantage. Not to mention that Kylina and the others are just princesses, even if they become queens, they are still far inferior to you. Lin Tian looked at Luo Bingning fondly. Luo Bingning said in a sweet voice, hubby, you must be trying to comfort me on purpose. Chapter 260, Engaged to Luo Bingning. The next morning, at Four Seasons Manor. Lin Tian and Luo Bingning drove up in their sports car, while Lin Haisheng and the others arrived in the Rolls-Royce Cullinan. Wow! Luo Bingning's eyes lit up with surprise. Entering the manor, Luo Bingning saw countless flowers, all kinds of flowers competing with each other in beauty. The entire manor had become an ocean of flowers. Hubby, there aren't many flowers like these in China, are there? Luo Bingying said in surprise. Lin Tian nodded slightly, I don't think so. They're still so fresh, I guess they were airlifted here from all over the world. Dad and Mom seem to have spent quite a bit. Luo Bingying's eyes showed a touch of emotion. Honey, your aunt and uncle went to a lot of trouble. It wasn't easy to get all these flowers delivered. Lin Tian laughed and said, Mom and Dad must want to be nice to you, so as not to lose such a good daughter-in-law. I'm not going to run away. Luo Bingying said coquettishly. Soon Lin Tian stopped the car and Luo Bingning got out. The air was filled with fragrance, and countless flowers were blooming to their heart's content. Lin Haisheng and the others got out as well. Bingning, do you like it? Neither Lin Tian's father nor I are well educated, so we could only prepare such a simple engagement ceremony for you. We bought this manor, so if you and Lin Tian have time, you can come here for a vacation. Chen Wan said with a smile. Auntie, this is very, very good, thank you. Luo Bingning said gratefully. Lin Tian said with some surprise, Mom, you bought this manor? It's not cheap, is it? Chen Wan glanced at Lin Tian, the manor plus the flowers shipped from all over the world, a total of 10 small goals. Lin Tian secretly licked his lips. Mom, you're quite willing to spend. The villa where Lin Haisheng and Chen Wan live is also worth more than 10 million. Lin Haisheng laughed, if it's just for you to spend, your mom definitely won't be willing, but she'll spend on Binging. Lu Bingning's heart warmed. She truly felt the sincerity of her in-laws. Lin, congratulations. Not long after Lin Tian and the others arrived, Salman came over, and he was the first of all the guests to arrive. Salman, welcome. You came so early, have you had breakfast yet? Lin Tian asked with a smile. Salman was surprised, Lin, don't you eat breakfast here? I thought coming early showed more sincerity. Don't worry, there's breakfast. Lin Tian said with a smile. Time passed slowly as the guests arrived. He and Luo Bingning were engaged, not married, so only their parents were coming, and no other relatives had been invited. Lin Tian and Luo Bingning had invited some friends. Tang Wan, Ouyang Fei, Ouyang Chang, and the rest had all come. Tang Wan's uncle, Chang Qinghe, the secretary of the city, and others had also been invited, as well as businessmen from the Gu family, Gu Yuanli, Zhao Shanglin, and others. Brother Lin, Bingning, congratulations. Bingning, I envy you, congratulations. Kalina, Princess Yista, and the others are here too. Zhao Shanglin and the others were secretly amazed. They were worth a lot of money and held high positions. Usually they were the big shots, but now they were nothing. Drip. Lin Tian received a phone call. Brother Lin, the second elder is here. The call was from Ouyang Fei. Lin Tian had arranged for him to keep an eye on things outside and let him know when the second elder arrived. Dad and Mom, you entertain the guests. Elder brother is here. Bingying and I will go greet him. Lin Haisheng nodded. The rest of the guests had already arrived, including princes and princesses like Salman and Kalina. It was inappropriate for all of them to go greet elder brother. Elder brother is coming? Chang Qinghe heard Lin Tian's conversation and his heart trembled. He silently followed Lin Tian and the others out to greet them. Soon 3 cars drove up, and the second elder got out of the car in the middle, and several bodyguards got out of the cars in front and behind. Among them were master martial artists. Second elder, welcome. Lin Tian and Luo Bingning said in unison. Chang Qing has said with some restraint, second elder. He is the secretary of the city of S and a big boss, but he is still far from the likes of the second elder. The second elder smiled, Lin Tian and Bingning, today is a good day. I am very happy to be here to witness your engagement. Thank you, second elder. Lin Tian and Luo Bingning said. The second elder looked at Chang Qinghe, Qinghe, you are the secretary of the city of S. Lin Tian has made many contributions to the country. As the secretary, you must provide good services. Second elder, I will do my best. Chang Qinghe hurriedly said. He was a little shocked in his heart. Lin Tian may have done even more for the country, otherwise why would the second elder come? He could understand the second elder coming for the wedding, but Lin Tian and Luo Bingning were only engaged, and the second elder had even made a special trip. Chang Qinghe didn't know that Lin Tian was Grandmaster Lin, and that Lin Tian had secretly made great contributions to the country. The stealth fighter and strategic bomber projects were accelerating. Second elder, please come inside. Lin Tian and the others welcomed the second elder inside. Seeing the second elder, the rest of the people were also shocked. The second elder smiled and said, everyone, today, like you all, I am just an ordinary guest. The main characters today are Lin Xiaolin and Bing Ning. Hearing the second elder say this, everyone relaxed a lot. The two families are joining together in marriage, and the contract is being signed in the same hall. The relationship is eternal, and the match is the same. Looking at the bright peach blossoms on this day, it is suitable for a good home and family. In the presence of the two elders and the many guests, Lin Tian and the others confirmed the marriage contract, and the marriage was officially confirmed. Clap. The crowd applauded. Luo Bingying's pretty face turned red. She was so excited that the golden treasure chest on top of her head soon turned into a legendary treasure chest. Lin Gu, why don't you kiss your fiancée? Yang Fei shouted. Give her a kiss, give her a kiss. Many of the others shouted. Lin Tian hugged Luo Bingying and kissed her. With so many people watching, of course he didn't go for a French kiss. But even a shallow kiss made Luo Bingying very excited. Next to the legendary treasure chest was now a black iron treasure chest. Lin Tian laughed and said, "Everyone, stop looking at us, let's start the banquet, everyone enjoy your food and drinks." 2 hours passed, and everyone was full and satisfied. Even the second elder, who didn't usually drink much, had already had 2 glasses of white wine. Lin, you must come to our camel kingdom in the future. Come over, and I will definitely treat you with hospitality. Prince Salman said. I will go if I have the chance. Lin Tian smiled. Prince Salman left, and the rest of the guests also left, leaving only the second elder, who came last. Lin Tian and the second elder went to a tea room. Second elder, if you have anything to say, just say it. Lin Tian poured the second elder a cup of tea and smiled. The second elder said with some embarrassment, Lin Tian, I'm really a bit embarrassed to speak. You have done so much for the country, and I'm still asking for more. Lin Tian said with a serious expression, if it's for the country, I will do my duty. If any politician wants the elixir of life, I won't provide it even if the first elder asks me to. Giving the elixir of life to politicians will destroy the political ecology. The second elder chuckled lightly, it's good that you think like this. It's best for you not to be involved in politics. I didn't come here for the elixir of life. Lin Tian let out a sigh of relief. The second elder said, I have come for Huayin. Huayin's overseas expansion has been affected. Many countries have strong opinions about Huayin being majority owned by our government, so we plan to sell a portion of our shares. Lin Tian was taken aback. Is this a pillow talk? Currently, the state holds 60% of the shares, and we plan to sell 15% of them. Do you want them? The second elder asked.